Chapter 142. Zhang Ailing said that you should become famous as early as possible. Wen Zaiwan has been in the circle for more than 10 years and has seen many young artists who became famous, but he has never seen a young man with a temperament as calm and modest as Lu Chen, neither arrogant nor impetuous, neither servile nor overbearing. Many newcomers will be very modest in the face of praise and glory, but their hearts are still proud and complacent, and their emotions will be revealed in their eyes and subtle movements. As long as it is someone with eyesight and experience like Wen Ziyuan, they can see it. However, Lu Chen is not like this. His modesty comes from the heart, and is definitely not a deliberate disguise. He gives Wen Ziyuan the feeling that he is like an unfathomable pool, with no bottom at all. In fact, Wen Ziyuan didn't know that Lu Chen was not like this at all just a few months ago. Lu Chen has experienced 3 different lives in his long dream, and has integrated the memories of 3 people in the dream world. Overnight, he has washed away his former immaturity and childishness, which naturally makes him different. And the precious wealth from the dream world has made Lu Chen have super confidence. But he also deeply understands that this is the source of everything he has at present, so he will not look down on others. All kinds of wonderful combinations have made Lu Chen have a different kind of charm. Young people nowadays are really amazing. Wen Ziyuan secretly admired, and became more and more determined to invite Lu Chen to sing a song. Tang Xiaoqiao is a good child, and her opportunity has come. After the pleasantries, Wen Ziyuan introduced Li Zhigao and Tang Xiaoqiao to Lu Chen. Lu Chen didn't know that before he came, there was a small game in the brokerage department of EMI, which led to the change of the auditioning object, but this did not affect his sincerity for this cooperation. Since the popularity of In the Spring, several entertainment agencies have come to the studio to invite Lu Chen to sing songs, but they were all scared away by his offer. Now that Lu Chen has won the championship of Singing China, and has launched a number of excellent original works, which has shown his talent and strength, the original offer is not so unacceptable. TN, Singing China is a Singing China. Lu Chen asked Lu Shi to raise the price. Every work in his memory was a masterpiece or even a classic. He would rather have it rot in his hands than sell it cheaply. Apart from Light Rain Media, which has already tasted the sweetness, EMI Brokerage Company is the first to really have sincerity to cooperate with Lu Chen in this respect, so he will take the initiative to come to listen. Some songwriters would sell whatever they wrote as long as they paid for it. It didn't matter who they sang it for. There were also some authors who would tailor their work according to the singer's voice, appearance, or even personality, and the latter's status in the industry was often higher than the former. Lu Chen wanted to do the latter. There were too many works in his memory, and he could always find one that met his requirements. Wen Ziyuan really didn't know. If he knew, he would probably be dumbfounded. The director of the brokerage department of EMI took everyone to the listening room. EMI Culture Brokerage Company is medium-sized in scale, with a lot of signed artists, but there is no independent recording studio, and the production is outsourced to other companies. DeLong Building has a first-class production unit such as Tianzhai Workshop. However, the listening room is indispensable. After a singer's album or single is completed, it is necessary to take it back to the relevant personnel of the company for a listening, and then determine the marketing and promotion plan. Therefore, the listening room of EMI is still professional, with all kinds of sound equipment, even a large screen projection, with accompaniment tapes and microphones, which can be used as a high-grade karaoke hall. Tang Xiaoqiao sang 2 songs to Lu Chen here, a sweet song and a fast song. Lu Chen listened very attentively. If the full score is 10 points, Tang Xiaoqiao's appearance condition is at least 7 points, and her exquisite dress can go up to 8 points. Her voice is a bit nasal, with a faint sweet girl's lazy feeling, which is still very comfortable to listen to. It belongs to the kind of voice with characteristics and potential. It's not without reason that EMI signed her. However, the problem is that Tang Xiaoqiao's characteristics are not clear and strong enough, and her singing skills are not very good. In Beijing, where there are many talents, it is not easy for her to stand out. Unless there is a good song to help her. After listening, Lu Chen fell into deep thought. After listening to the singer's voice, other songwriters think about nothing more than what theme, melody, and arrangement to match each other's characteristics. Lu Chen thinks differently, and the problem he thinks about is not so complicated. That is, which song is suitable for him. If it weren't for not wanting to be too shocking, he would have written a few dozen songs for Tang Xiaoqiao on the spot. While Lu Chen was searching his memory, whether it was Tang Xiaoqiao, Li Zhigao, or Wen Ziyuan, they all closed their mouths and looked at him with expectant eyes. Li Zhigao was even so nervous that a fine sweat appeared on his forehead. At the same time, in an office of EMI, Zhang Shuhui was on the phone with someone else. I see, she walked back and forth in the small room, agreeing and frowning from time to time. Zhang Qiong sat on the sofa, looking at her restless niece in front of her, and shook her head helplessly. This child is always so impatient. When she encounters something, she will lose her mind. She said that she is her aunt's agent, but in fact, she is just like a nanny. After a while, Zhang Shuhui ended the call. She squeezed her cell phone hard and said with great annoyance, "Aunt, that Lu Chen is here. Xiao Chen told me that Director Wen took him, Li Zhigao and Tang Xiaoqiao into the listening room." What? Hearing the news, Zhang Qiong was also taken aback, and her face changed slightly. But she quickly understood and couldn't help sneering. Li Zhigao, that coward, is a little smart. He must have taken advantage of the loophole to persuade Wen Ziyuan to let that Lu Chen write songs for Tang Xiaoqiao. He came for me. Previously, Zhang Qiong deliberately disappeared in the company just to embarrass Wen Ziyuan. Unexpectedly, Li Zhigao seized the opportunity. Zhang Shuhui hesitated for a moment and asked, "Aunt, if Tang Xiaoqiao, although they are both signed artists under director Wen Ziyuan, Zhang Shuhui has never paid attention to Tang Xiaoqiao, who debuted earlier than her. The latter's sequence in the company is 1 or 2 levels lower than hers, and there was no threat at all. However, this time, Tang Xiaoqiao unexpectedly got involved with Lu Chen, which made her instinctively vigilant. Zhang Shuhui is actually no stranger to Lu Chen, because she has watched most of the competitions of Singing China. Lu Chen's talent is beyond doubt. Zhang Shuhui's favorite song was "The Brightest Star in the Night Sky" that he sang in the final, which simply reached her heart. So, when Wen Ziyuan applied to the company for funds and asked Lu Chen to write songs for her, Zhang Shuhui was very happy. But Zhang Qiong strongly objected. Zhang Qiong's reasons for opposition were very strong. The style of Lu Chen's work is not suitable for her, and the price is too high. According to Zhang Qiong, only newcomers who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth dare to ask for such a big price. Wen Ziyuan is messing around and will make a fool of himself. She, Zhang Shuhui, can't follow suit and become a laughing stock. Zhang Qiong recommended Shiyu to Zhang Shuhui. 250,000 yuan is enough to buy 3 good works. How can the funds that Zhang Qiong has applied for be squandered by Wen Ziyuan? Zhang Shuhui listens to Zhang Qiong's opinion, because she knows that her aunt loves her the most and will not harm her. However, now that she heard the news, her heart was in chaos again. What if the song Lu Chen wrote for Tang Xiaoqiao was very good and made Tang Xiaoqiao famous? This was originally her chance. What Zhang Shuhui was thinking, Zhang Qiong knew very well. She interrupted the former without hesitation and said very confidently, "Tang Xiaoqiao has no chance. How can she be qualified to apply for the fund to buy songs? Wen Ziyuan did it on purpose for us to see. That Lu Chen has come over. He can't let the other party go back directly, can he? So even if he's putting on an act, he can't offend others. Maybe Li Zhigao and Tang Xiaoqiao are the people he found temporarily." The more Zhang Qiong thought about it, the more she felt that she had guessed right. She slapped her hand fiercely. This old fox. It was as if the slap was on Wen Ziyuan's face. As soon as Zhang Shuhui heard this, what her aunt said was too reasonable. A relieved smile immediately appeared on her face. Zhang Qiong stood up, took her little hand and comforted her. "Shuhui, don't think too much. I'll contact Shiyu right away and ask him to write some really good songs for you, and then we'll release an album." Great. Zhang Shuhui was immediately overjoyed. She immediately hugged Zhang Qiong and kissed her. "Aunt, you're so kind to me. You child." Zhang Qiong glared at her angrily. She was secretly proud in her heart. Wen Ziyuan, you want to fight with me? Drink this old woman's foot-washing water. Wen Ziyuan didn't know that someone was going to invite him to drink foot-washing water. He was staring at Lu Chen eagerly. In the listening room, Lu Chen finally thought about it. He said to Wen Ziyuan, Director Wen, I already have an idea about Miss Tang Xiaoqiao's song. The day after tomorrow, I will bring the work to sign the contract and transfer the copyright. What? Wen Ziyuan wondered if there was something wrong with his ears. Teacher Lu Chen, do you mean to say that you can write a song for Tang Xiaoqiao the day after tomorrow? That was way too king fast. It should be known that the price offered by Lu Chen is 250,000 yuan, which is the price of a real famous artist in the industry. Although it is not as good as the top big names, it is also very amazing in EMI. Lu Chen unexpectedly said that it can be done in 2 days. Li Zhigao and Tang Xiaoqiao also showed an unbelievable look. Lu Chen said with a faint smile, I originally prepared this song for Chen Feier. I feel it is more suitable for Tang Xiaoqiao. Queen of sweet songs Chen Feier. Everyone was speechless. Only then did they remember that Chen Feier appreciates Lu Chen very much. She even invited Lu Chen to be a guest at the concert in the show. So, what Lu Chen said is most likely true. Chapter 143. I originally prepared this song for Chen Feier. If it were any other newcomer, saying such a thing would probably only make people laugh their teeth off. But Lu Chen is really different. Chen Feier's appreciation for Lu Chen has been fully reflected in the competition of Singing China. She alone gave Lu Chen full marks 5 times, surpassing Tan Hong, who likes to promote newcomers. In some online entertainment channels, there was even a small news such as Chen Feier's favorite little fresh meat. Lu Chen didn't see these gossip, otherwise he would have vomited blood. He's a real man, okay? Wen Ziyuan, Li Zhigao and Tang Xiaoqiao were struck by lightning on the spot, but the 3 of them didn't have much doubt. Lu Chen's creative talent is obvious to all, and he didn't rely on anyone to hold him up and blow him up. It's not inconceivable that Chen Feier would invite him to sing a song. Wen Ziyuan reacted and beamed with joy. It turned out to be a song written by teacher Lu Chen for Heavenly Queen Chen. Don't think about it. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Lu Chen. I won't admit it. Lu Chen understands Wen Ziyuan's idea. For a new singer, this is undoubtedly an excellent hype gimmick. But first of all, Lu Chen has to cooperate. If Lu Chen doesn't admit it, then even if EMI tries to stir things up, the effect will not be good, and he is afraid that he will offend both him and Chen Feier, which is not worth the loss. Wen Ziyuan never expected that Lu Chen was so shrewd that he saw through his thoughts at a glance. His smile couldn't help but become a little embarrassed. Lu Chen said with a smile, it doesn't matter if you use my name to hype up, but don't involve teacher Chen Feier. Even if he did not mention it just now, he was still a little worried that Chen Feier would be dragged into this. Many entertainment agencies, in order to create hype, would forcefully attach themselves to people who were completely unrelated, let alone people who were even remotely related. Therefore, Lu Chen hit Wen Ziyuan not lightly or heavily, lest the other party have unrealistic ideas. He is willing to sell his works to EMI, and doesn't mind the other party using his name for publicity, but it can't involve a third party, otherwise everyone will break up. If it were any other newcomer, they wouldn't have the qualifications to speak like this. However, it was Lu Chen who said it, and Wen Ziyuan was really convinced. He was even grateful. The work that Lu Chen took out was originally prepared for the Heavenly Queen. All right. Wen Ziyuan hurriedly said, Teacher Lu Chen, you can rest assured that we have a sense of propriety. Then I will prepare the contract first and wait for you in the company the day after tomorrow. Lu Chen took the initiative to extend his hand to him. Then let's have a pleasant cooperation. Wen Ziyuan laughed. It's a pleasure working with you. He held Lu Chen's hand hard, and his heart was very happy. The director of the brokerage department of EMI has secretly made up his mind to apply for the funds to buy songs. Originally, 2 days was not enough at all. The company's process was not that fast at all. However, if he used his connections to do special things, Wen Ziyuan was still quite sure. After all, the money was not a lot. If it really doesn't work, he will pay it out of his own pocket first. In order to suppress Zhang Qiong's arrogance, Wen Ziyuan also went all out. After declining the warm invitation of Wen Ziyuan and others to have lunch together, Lu Chen returned to his studio. At 2 p.m., he will be interviewed here by a special reporter of QQ Music. During the process of participating in the Singing China competition, and after the final, Lu Chen has been interviewed several times, including group interviews and individual interviews. But it was the first time for such a special invitation to make an appointment for an official interview. Although the other party was not a reporter from a well-known newspaper or TV station, QQ Music was the largest and strongest of all music websites. To be able to get their special interview was something worth celebrating for any newcomer. It even needed to spend money on public relations. The primary reason why Lu Chen was able to get this opportunity was that several of his works were very popular in QQ Music. QQ Music is an important partner of Singing China, organized by Beijing Television. The live version of all the contestants' songs will be put on it for free on demand by netizens. Although Lu Chen's works are all original works, they are no exception. And his works have repeatedly rushed to the homepage of QQ Music's hit list. So far, the live version of 3 original works, Chasing Dream with a Childlike Heart, The Brightest Star in the Night Sky, and You Who Sat Next to Me, have exceeded 100 million views. Among them, Chasing Dream with a Childlike Heart occupied the top spot for 7 consecutive days, until it was squeezed down by The Brightest Star in the Night Sky. As for the others, Fly Higher, The Bright Times of Youth, Those Flowers, and so on, they all have excellent performance. Lu Chen's songs even dominated the list for a time. Such a situation was so rare that the official QQ Music had to use technical means to readjust the list, making several songs fall off the list. Because Lu Chen's songs have been on the list one after another, it has seriously affected the works that many website partners are playing, publicizing, and selling. Those who spend money have an opinion: our money can't be thrown into the water. Such unspoken rules have long been a secret in the industry, especially in the entertainment channels of portals. If you want to show your face and take back the headlines, unless you are a real big shot, you don't even need to think about buying a place without paying for it. The same is true of QQ Music. As the largest music website in China, with hundreds of millions of registered users, its way to make money, in addition to sales shares, the most important thing is advertising and ranking income. So, it's normal for Lu Chen's song to be suppressed after touching the interests of the investor. However, Lu Chen doesn't care. After all, the publicity purpose of his work has been achieved, and he will cooperate with QQ Music to sell the online version of his debut album. At that time, as long as the results are excellent, QQ Music will naturally promote it, and it will not be a problem to promote it to the sky. And this time, the special interview seems to have some intention of making up for it. Most of the above was analyzed by Lu Shi for Lu Chen. She has been paying close attention to the movements on the internet. For example, Lu Chen's blog is personally managed by her sister. In addition to the special interview with QQ Music, Lu Shi also has a work report to Lu Chen, which needs him to make his own decision. I've already talked to the clothing company that recently asked you to endorse an advertisement. Whether to cooperate or not, it's up to you to decide. This is the advantage of being famous. Even when you sit at home, there are people eagerly sending money to your door. Lu Chen's eyes lit up and he quickly asked, "What kind of clothing is it? How much is it?" Thinking that he is going to shoot his first advertisement, he was a little excited. Lu Shi said with a slight smile, "It's considered clothing, men's underwear, and the endorsement fee is 100,000 yuan a year." Men's underwear? Lu Chen was suddenly shocked. He originally thought it was a suit or trousers or something, but the result was too unexpected. Of course, underwear is something that everyone has to wear, but thinking about wearing only a pair of underwear on camera and being photographed as an advertising album or magazine insert or something, Lu Chen felt that the picture was too beautiful. He couldn't help but shiver, and all the hair on his body stood up. "Forget it, help me refuse." It's not that Lu Chen doesn't want to make money, but the money is unacceptable to him. The key is that the money is too little, and it's not worth it for him to sell his body. 100,000 yuan is less than the price of half a song. Regarding Lu Chen's answer, Lu Shi was not surprised at all. Okay. Lu Chen asked, is there anything else? Lu Shi flipped through the notepad in her hand and continued, there are a few more invitations, and I have answered them for you. Invitations in the entertainment industry refer to artists participating in various programs and public activities, such as signing sessions, talk shows, promotional meetings, endorsement activities, press conferences, etc., according to the intention of the entertainment company or agency company, to increase their exposure rate during a certain period of time. Most of the invitations have an announcement fee, and the price depends on the status in the circle. It can range from thousands to tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands. There are also a small number of free invitations for pure publicity. In general, it is a necessary path for new artists. There are even artistes who specialize in running invitations. It's just that the status of artistes in the circle is very low. They belong to singers, idols, or non-A-list stars who are not popular enough, have no contract with a specific company, or have no programs to do. These people no longer worked in a fixed studio or recording room like they usually did. Instead, they traveled between various variety shows every day to talk about the gossip in the circle, popular news, and the little secrets of themselves and other artists. Otherwise, they would play some pranks on some entertainment shows to amuse everyone. In short, it's low. As an independent artist, Lu Chen is not under the pressure of a signed company, so he has a lot of freedom in this regard. Some agency companies will force artists to participate in invitations. Of course, without the company's network resources, many invitations will not take the initiative to find him. And Lu Chen himself is not interested in this. Because he doesn't have much time to deal with the time-consuming and laborious invitations that don't make much money. Lu Shi understands Lu Chen's thoughts, so she directly replied. At the same time, she reminded him, if it's an invitation from Beijing television, then you have to go anyway. Lu Chen nodded. He must maintain his relationship with Beijing television. Even if he can't make money, he has to give them face. Otherwise, if he is too maverick, he won't be able to stay in the entertainment industry for long. Finally, there's the offer from the two performance companies, Lu Shi said, food, accommodation, round-trip air tickets or high-speed rail tickets are included. 30,000 yuan for a song. If you agree, you can sign a 1-year contract first. Performing invitations is also the key to making money for artists, but the other party's offer makes Lu Chen a little sad. He is a newcomer and has no signed company to support him. He scratched his head and asked his sister, Sister, do you think it's bad if I don't talk about it or sign it? Lu Shi smiled sweetly, it's good that you know. Chapter 144. The special reporter of QQ Music is surnamed Lei. She is not tall, at most about 1.6 meters, but she is quite sexy and mature, with an oval face, willow leaf eyebrows, big eyes and dimples, and when she smiles, she shows 2 small canine teeth, with a bit of girlish innocence, giving people the feeling that she is not in the entertainment circle, but an entertainment reporter. It's really a pity. Lei's voice is very pleasant to hear, sweet and soft, with the unique charm of Jiangnan women. It also makes Lu Chen feel very cordial. Teacher Lu Chen, what made you finally embark on the road of music? At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in the reception room of Lu Chen's studio. Lu Chen and the female reporter from QQ Music sat face to face. The 2 cups of freshly brewed coffee on the glass coffee table were surrounded by white mist, and the air was filled with the faint aroma of authentic coffee beans. Compared with the fragrant coffee, Lei was obviously more interested in Lu Chen. She sat down and couldn't wait to turn on the recording pen and ask the latter her first question. Lu Chen said with a smile, I don't dare to be a teacher. Reporter Lei is more used to calling me by my name. Have a cup of coffee first. Someone gave me a coffee from Brazil. It tastes pretty good. Let's talk slowly. The title of teacher was originally a respectful title in the circle for those seniors who have made their debut early and have been famous for a long time. Later, it was a little overused, but anyone with a little bit of status can call him, especially suitable for those who have no deep relationship. Lu Chen is a newcomer who has just made his debut. Originally, he did not have such qualifications. Even if he has written good works, his qualifications in the circle are too shallow. It is already great for others to call him a Chen or Brother Chen. However, he was positioned as a judge in the second season of Singing China by Beijing Television. Even after the audition, his status in the industry has suddenly risen, and he is no longer just a newcomer. In addition, the circle has a lot of respect for singers and songwriters, so it is not too much to call him teacher. Many things in the entertainment circle are so wonderful, and people who are not in the circle often do not understand the connotation. But Lu Chen will not confidently think that he deserves it. Face was given by others, but face was lost by oneself. Maintaining a humble and cautious attitude would allow one to go further. As expected, Lei Lei had a better impression of Lu Chen's humble attitude. She relaxed and took a sip of her coffee. The female reporter's eyes lit up and she praised, "Not bad." Lei Lei often drank coffee. Although she was not a coffee expert, she could still distinguish between good and bad tastes. Lu Chen smiled and said, "If reporter Lei likes it, then you can bring a jar back. Anyway, I'm just presenting Buddha with borrowed flowers." His coffee was sent by Wen Ziyuan, and there were 2 cans in total. Yesterday after the test at EMI, Lu Chen didn't let the other party treat him to dinner. The brokerage director probably felt very embarrassed, so he insisted on sending him 2 cans of Brazilian coffee beans. Lu Chen asked Chen Xian to buy some tools to grind the coffee powder to serve the guests. The effect was really good. As the saying goes, after eating a cup of delicious coffee, Lei Lei's attitude became a lot more easygoing. "Then I'll call you Lu Chen, but you can't call me Reporter Lei." Lu Chen smiled, "Okay, Sister Lei Lei." Lei Lei is about 4 or 5 years older than him, so it's definitely right to call her sister. To become a star idol, it's very important to have a good relationship with media reporters. Otherwise, if others slander you in newspapers, magazines, or on the internet every 2 or 3 days, no one can stand it. The real bigwigs often had a good relationship with the media. For example, Tan Hong had not been involved in any scandals for so many years. Part of the reason was that he had a good character, but the other reason was that he had deep connections in the industry. How to properly build a good relationship with the media, Chen Jinhao taught Lu Chen and Lu Xi a lot of experience respectively. Lu Chen has rich experience in 3 dream lives, and it's not difficult to understand at all. After he and Lei Lei talked and laughed and got closer to each other, they got down to business and entered the formal interview session. The question goes back to Lei Lei's previous question. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "My earliest exposure to music came from my parents' expectations of me. I learned piano when I was a child. Probably because I wasn't talented enough, I didn't learn much, so I gave up. Later, I liked the guitar, so I learned it myself, but at that time, I felt that playing the guitar was easy to chase after girls." Speaking of this, Lei Lei showed a knowing smile. Many boys learn to play and sing, just to be handsome and cool to attract the attention of girls, and this trick is very effective. Lei Lei couldn't help remembering that when she was in college, there were boys who sang for her downstairs in the dormitory. Unfortunately, the other party didn't have Lu Chen's talent, nor did he have Lu Chen's handsomeness. Otherwise, she might have agreed. Lu Chen continued, "When I was in college, something happened to my family, so I came to Beijing early to work and became a singer in a bar. That was when I really started on the road of music." Lei Lei said, "You once said in the Singing China competition that your dream is to make a lot of money and want to help your family pay off their debts. So, is the motivation for you to embark on the road of music from your responsibility to your family?" Lu Chen said calmly, "You can say that." After winning the championship of Singing China, Lu Chen is a celebrity in his hometown of Binhai City. So, soon on the Waves blog, someone revealed his family's situation. At that time, Lu Chen's father, Lu Qingsheng, was also a well-known entrepreneur in Binhai. His business failure was entirely due to bad luck. He was affected by the international financial storm, which led to the breakage of the capital chain. Lu Qingxing's reputation has always been very good in the local area. He is straightforward, generous and trustworthy, so many relatives, friends and partners are willing to lend him money. In the end, his death from illness was purely unexpected. The Lu family's experience made people sigh, but the most surprising thing was that Lu Qingxing's widow, Fang Yun, Lu Chen's mother, resolutely took up the huge debt, so as not to let those relatives and friends who trusted Lu Qingxing suffer losses, nor to let Lu Qingxing's reputation be tarnished. But anyone who knows about this has great admiration for Fang Yun. Trustworthiness and reputation have always been the virtue of the Chinese nation. Therefore, when Lu Chen talked about his dream of making money at the Singing China competition, not only did it not make people feel the slightest bit disgusted, but it made people feel his sincerity, confidence and courage. The song, Chasing Dream with a Childlike Heart, sings Lu Chen's indomitable spirit in the face of life's difficulties. And Zhuang Hao, who questioned Lu Chen's dream, has had his blog blown up by countless people. Even the Shumei magazine, where he works, could not withstand the pressure from netizens and had to apologize on behalf of Zhuang Hao. Now, this so-called editor-cum-music critic had even shut down his own blog, completely disappearing without a trace. Lei Lei mentioned this matter, but also intended to correct Lu Chen's name. After all, the latter has not publicly explained the situation. She continued to ask, "What made you have such rich and colorful music ideas and write such good songs as In the Spring and You Who Sat Next to Me? What is your source of inspiration? Why do you have such a different style of expression in your creation, and what is your attitude towards others' doubts?" Although she has a good impression of Lu Chen, as the interview went on, reporter Lei's professional nature was inevitably exposed. A series of questions hit Lu Chen like a storm, which was a bit aggressive. But she didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Since he has stepped into the entertainment industry and become a popular star, Lu Chen is bound to accept all kinds of interviews in the future, and face more tricky, fierce, and even vicious questions than she did. If he can't cope with the one-on-one special interview now, there will be plenty of trouble in the future. Therefore, Lei Lei deliberately speeded up her speech, and the questions she asked were targeted, thus forming a sense of oppression. She wanted to see how Lu Chen would deal with it. In fact, since Lu Chen participated in Singing China, the questioning voice against him on the internet has not completely disappeared, mainly focusing on his creative style. The most typical one is, In the Spring, which is not like a 22-year-old young man can write. And Lu Chen's performance was not as nervous or flustered as Lei Lei imagined. Lu Chen smiled calmly. He didn't answer Lei Lei's question directly. "Sister Lei Lei, let me first tell you the origin of my name on Wave's blog, Lu Chen FMX. Lu Chen's Inspire blog ID is Lu Chen FM. At present, the number of fans following him has exceeded 5 million, which can be regarded as reaching the entry standard of Big V. The number of forwarding, comments and likes of his blog post is quite high. But no one knows the real meaning of this ID." Lei Lei was suddenly stunned. She couldn't figure out what Lu Chen's blog account had to do with her question. However, her reporter's intuition told her that Lu Chen must have something to do with it. So, she nodded with a smile on her face. Lu Chen explained, "Lu Chen FMX. Lu Chen represents myself, while FMX represents 3 other people. Their names are Fang Mingyi, Mo Ran and Su Bo. They are all good teachers and helpful friends in my life and music. They let me know a lot of principles of life. They let me understand the importance of persistence." When selling the copyright of In the Spring, Lu Chen told others about Su Bo's story. At that time, he once made a vow in his heart to make Su Bo's name a legend in the world. But not only Su Bo, Fang Mingyi and Mo Ran were also indispensable. He felt that without any one of them, his life after experiencing the long dream would no longer be complete. So, taking advantage of the opportunity of an interview with QQ Music, Lu Chen selectively told the story of the 3 of them. Not just to explain. It was memories, remembrance, and also a memorial. Chapter 145. Lei Lei became a reporter after graduating from university. She had been in the entertainment industry for 3 years. Of course, she couldn't compare with those old foxes in terms of experience, but she had interviewed many celebrities and idols. Among them, most of them were newly debuted artists. But Lei Lei had never seen a newcomer like Lu Chen, who was already famous in the industry and had considerable popularity. But in front of her, he was humble and not humble. His words were polite and not hypocritical, giving people a feeling of a spring breeze. Moreover, he was very handsome, not the kind of young and fresh meat that was popular nowadays. He was stylish and manly. Listening to Lu Chen's story, it was more like sharing his life experience. Unconsciously, Lei Lei put aside her professional instincts and began to listen very carefully. She was also deeply moved. Lu Chen's story was not very long. It ended after pointing out the origin of his creative style. Lei Lei came to her senses and couldn't help saying, "You are very lucky. In this life, it was great luck to have a good teacher and helpful friend, but Lu Chen had 3. Lu Chen said frankly, "Yes, I am very lucky." That long dream was definitely a miracle, and it was also his luck. Lei Lei sighed and said, "No wonder you can create such excellent works. Then how do you deal with other people's doubts?" Lu Chen replied without hesitation, "Go my own way and let others talk. In the entertainment industry, you should be able to bear as much honor as you can bear. Go your own way, let others talk." Lei Lei's eyes lit up. "You have also read Dante's Divine Comedy?" Lu Chen smiled, revealing 8 white and clean teeth. Lei Lei was a little dizzy because Lu Chen's smile at this moment was as bright as the sun. She couldn't help blushing and quickly changed the topic. "Then what do you think about the future?" After that, the interview returned to a routine rhythm. Lei Lei asked about Lu Chen's future career plans, whether he had plans to release an album, and even asked about Chen Fei-er. In October, Chen Fei-er would hold a concert in Beijing, and Lu Chen was one of the scheduled guests. She even asked about Lu Chen's height, weight, hobbies, and criteria for choosing a girlfriend. Lu Chen answered as much as he could, but when it involved his privacy, he just smiled and didn't answer. Lei Lei was not annoyed. The atmosphere during the interview was very harmonious. When the interview ended, it was already 4:30 in the afternoon. Lu Chen stood up and said, "Lei Lei, let's have dinner together tonight. There's a good restaurant here." Lei Lei pursed her lips and smiled. "I really want to, but I have to rush my draft. Maybe next time." Seeing that she was not pretending to be polite, Lu Chen did not force her. He called Lu Shi over, and the two of them walked Lei Lei down the building. Before leaving, Lu Shi gave Lei Lei a red packet, The Rules of Jianghu. There were 10 banknotes in the red packet. If it wasn't for Chen Jianhao's guidance, she really wouldn't have known that there was such a rule, let alone the correct amount of money. The thickness of the red packet was different for different reporters. Lei Lei didn't refuse, but after going back, she must help Lu Chen put in more good words. She even thought of the title of the exclusive interview, which was, "Go Your Own Way, Let Others Talk." After watching the reporter from QQ Music Network leave, Lu Shi snorted softly and said to Lu Chen, "If you have nothing to do in the future, you should deal with this woman less in the future." Previously, when Lei Lei interviewed Lu Chen, Lu Shi was not present. However, when she saw him off, out of a woman's keen intuition, she found that Lei Lei seemed to have a different kind of affection for Lu Chen. This discovery made her sister a little vigilant. She didn't want to interfere with Lu Chen's emotional life, but the entertainment industry was so chaotic. There were many bad women. If Lu Chen was entangled by one of them, it would be endless trouble. Lu Chen said with a wry smile, "Sister, reporter Lei is not a bad person. I have a sense of propriety." Lu Shi gave him a white look, "I'm just reminding you. Anyway, you just have to pay attention to yourself. In addition, don't forget that you have to sign a contract with EMI tomorrow." "Is the work ready?" "I've been ready for a long time." Lu Chen said confidently, "You just wait to collect the money." Compared with Lu Chen's strong self-confidence, Wen Ziyuan is too guilty. The day before yesterday, he was forced by Zhang Qiong to the top of his head and agreed to Li Zhigao's request to apply for funds to buy songs for Tang Xiaoqiao. As a result, after using his relationship, Wen Ziyuan really got a budget of 100,000 yuan. This kind of speed was usually enjoyed by the top artists in the company. But Wen Ziyuan was not happy at all. Because after he calmed down, he realized that he was too impulsive. Now, Wen Ziyuan is completely tied to Tang Xiaoqiao and Li Zhigao. If Lu Chen's work is worth the money, it's okay. If it's ordinary, then Wen Ziyuan, the director's position, can no longer sit on it. Look at the kind of people sitting in the listening room today. The biggest piece is Song Sun, the deputy general manager of EMI and the direct boss of Wen Ziyuan's immediate boss. Then there is the manager of the brokerage department, the manager of the public relations department, and 2 directors of the brokerage department. Wen Ziyuan knows very well that these 2 guys, who are on the same level as him, are definitely here to see him make a fool of himself. In addition, there is also Wan Xinghua, a music consultant of Tianzhai Workshop. Wan Xinghua is also a well-known musician in the circle. He has produced many albums. He serves as a consultant to a number of entertainment media and music production companies. He is a good friend of Song Sun. Song Sun invited Wan Xinghua, saying that he was checking Lu Chen's works, but his real purpose is unknown. It's just a song. There's no need to be so grand, even if it's worth 250,000 yuan. In addition, Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui are also here. According to the rules, the 2 shouldn't be here at all, but Zhang Qiong's relationship is strong enough. Wen Ziyuan knows very well that if others are here to see him make a fool of himself, then Zhang Qiong is ready to knock a nail on his coffin. The latter has been coveting his position for a long time. As for Li Zhigao, he is not qualified to sit in the listening room and has long since shrunk to the corner. What a big battle. Although the air conditioner in the listening room is very low, Wen Ziyuan's sweat is still coming out. Director Wen, how long do you want everyone to wait? After sitting for a few minutes, Zhang Qiong asked in a strange tone. Several managers don't have so much free time. Motherf asterisk cur. Did I invite them here? Wen Ziyuan cursed in his heart. He wished he could slap this woman to the ground on the spot and use his majestic body, which weighs 200 pounds, to XXOO and then OXX. Of course, he just thought about it, and he had to explain to Song Sun with a smile, Manager Song, I'll go and urge them. At 1:00 this afternoon, Lu Chen brought people over. The 2 sides have signed a formal copyright transfer contract, and the song work has been handed over to Tang Xiaoqiao. She paid 100,000 yuan herself. As a songwriter, Lu Chen behaved professionally enough. He didn't just sell the song and get the money, but gave Tang Xiaoqiao separate guidance on singing his own work. After all, only the original author can fully express the essence of the work. After the guidance, they also had to go to the listening room for another audition. Lu Chen even prepared the accompaniment tape. What Wen Ziyuan didn't expect was that Song Sun actually came over with a large team of people at this time. He didn't affect the communication between Lu Chen and Tang Xiaoqiao. He sat in the listening room and waited to listen to the new song. Zhang Qiong, who was haunting him, also appeared here with her niece. At that time, Wen Ziyuan felt as if there were 10,000 grass mud horses galloping through his heart. But what's done can't be undone. Even if he wanted to go back, it was too late. The brokerage director was really frustrated in his heart. All his hopes could only be pinned on Lu Chen. If he wants to blame, he can only blame himself for being too impulsive. Don't worry, Song Sun waved his hand gracefully and said, let's not disturb other people's work. Let's wait a little longer. The deputy general manager of EMI is in his 30s. He is elegant, but he is decisive and capable. He has won the trust of the parent company's board of directors and has great prestige in the company. Sitting next to him, Wan Xinghua pushed his black-rimmed glasses and said, your company is really willing. 250,000 yuan for a song is really a big deal. But this Lu Chen is still very creative talent. I hope it's worth the money. Wan Xinghua and Song Sun are old friends. When they heard that EMI offered a high price to invite Lu Chen to sing, they had a strong interest in coming over to have a look and get to know the new singer and songwriter who has recently become famous. He didn't know the inside story, but he felt that the price was too high, and it was inevitable that he would have a picky idea. In the spring, you who sat next to me and so on are good works, but Lu Chen is a newcomer. A newcomer wants to reach the sky in a single bound. Where are the seniors in the circle? In Wan Xingguo's view, Lu Chen's approach is somewhat against the rules. Of course, it's normal for young people to rely on a little talent to not know the immensity of heaven and earth. At present, there is a lack of original works in China. The rise of Lu Chen is also a good thing, so it's better to encourage him. It should be known that Tan Hong and Chen Fei, two big stars, appreciate Lu Chen very much. Wan Xingguo thought to himself, but Song Sun smiled and said nothing. This time, the company's buying songs from Lu Chen is more complicated, and even involves internal power struggles. He personally brought people here mainly to deter them. You guys are fighting, but if it affects the development of the company, be careful that I will fall out with you. Song Sun's eyes quickly swept over the faces of Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui, who were sitting on the side, without warning. Zhang Qiong noticed it and immediately showed a flattering smile. This woman. Song Sun snorted softly in his heart. At this time, the door of the listening room was pushed open, and a young man in a t-shirt and jeans came in with a girl in a white skirt. Both of them were taken aback when they saw that the room was already full. Wen Ziyuan, however, was like being pardoned. He quickly got up and greeted Teacher Lu Chen. Chapter 146. What a big lineup. Lu Chen didn't expect so many people to come to the listening room, and he couldn't help but be surprised. He looked at Wen Ziyuan with puzzled eyes. What's going on? Wen Ziyuan wiped his sweat and explained, Teacher Lu Chen, let me introduce you, this is. He first introduced Song Sun to Lu Chen, then Wan Xingguo, the manager of the brokerage department, the manager of the public relations department and so on. As for Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui, Wen Ziyuan directly ignored them and pretended not to see them. You've stepped on my face, do you really think I'm made of mud? Zhang Qiong was so angry that her eyebrows were raised, but with so many senior executives of the company present, she didn't dare to lose her temper. As for the others, no matter what they thought in their hearts, they were polite to Lu Chen. In the pop music world or entertainment industry, powerful songwriters are still very respected. In terms of status, they are no less than those star idols. Of course, their fame outside the circle is much worse. Ordinary people will only remember the singer when they listen to songs, and basically no one will pay attention to who the author is. But in the circle, Lu Chen's status as an author is higher than that of a singer, so even Song Sun, the deputy general manager of EMI, took the initiative to shake hands with Lu Chen with a smile. Of course, this doesn't mean that they think that the song Lu Chen gave to Tang Xiaoqiao is necessarily worth a high price of 250,000 yuan. Because Lu Chen's position has just been established and is not stable enough. After the pleasantries, Wan Xingguo couldn't wait to ask, Mr. Lu Chen, I heard that you wrote a new song for EMI? Lu Chen was a little surprised and didn't understand why the other party would be so eager. This is the music consultant of Tianzhai Workshop. He is an outsider here, but Wen Ziyuan respects him very much. Lu Chen maintained his composure on the surface and said with a smile, yes, I'm preparing to sing. Teacher Wan, please give me some pointers. Wan Xingguo was not polite and immediately nodded and said, well said. To Lu Chen, he was considered a senior in the industry and was qualified to guide Lu Chen. Lu Chen turned around and said to the confused Tang Xiaoqiao, I'll play the accompaniment, and you can try it again. Previously in Wen Ziyuan office, Lu Chen analyzed the music score for Tang Xiaoqiao, as well as the stylistic characteristics of his work, as well as the details that need to be paid attention to when singing. Tang Xiaoqiao is talented in music, and the difficulty of this song is not very high, so she comprehended it very quickly, so she came to the listening room to practice singing. As the first client of the studio, Lu Chen was willing to spend some time and energy to make a name for himself in the industry. I just didn't expect that there were so many people waiting to listen to the lecture, and they are all high-level EMI. Tang Xiaoqiao was even more frightened. Lu Chen's words brought her back to reality. She hurriedly walked to the microphone, still looking a little uneasy. Lu Chen took out the USB flash drive that had already been prepared, inserted it into the playback device, and pressed the play button. The prelude to the music sounded. The song was written a long time ago, and the accompaniment was made by Lu Chen himself with a software synthesizer yesterday. It was not very good, but there was no problem in using it for Tang Xiaoqiao's audition. The real arrangement has to be solved by EMI itself, which is not included in the contract. Following the rhythm, Tang Xiaoqiao opened her mouth, but did not sing the lyrics. Her face suddenly turned red. As a singer from a talent competition, Tang Xiaoqiao's performance should not have been so poor, but this song has placed too many expectations on her, and the pressure in her heart was very heavy. And the people sitting in front of her listening to the song were many senior executives of the company, which made her too nervous. Zhang Shuhui, who was sitting on the edge of the listening room, couldn't help showing a look of ridicule. In Zhang Shuhui's eyes, there was no Tang Xiaoqiao at all, even if the latter belonged to the same group as her. Tang Xiaoqiao actually bought a song from Lu Chen, which made her very upset. Even if this lady doesn't want it, you can think about it. Can you be worth 250,000 for a song? So, she followed her aunt here to see Tang Xiaoqiao make a fool of herself. As a result, Tang Xiaoqiao really made a fool of herself. Zhang Qiong directly sneered. Li Zhigao's old face wrinkled into a bitter gourd, desperately winking at Tang Xiaoqiao, indicating the other party to calm down. In fact, he put more pressure on Tang Xiaoqiao. Song Sun, Wan Xinghua and others all frowned, feeling that Tang Xiaoqiao's psychological quality was very poor. Even if such a newcomer gave her a good song, could she really hold it up? Wen Ziyuan's smile was uglier than crying. At a critical moment, if Tang Xiaoqiao dropped the chain, where would he put his face? Lu Chen was quick-witted and immediately pressed the stop button. He said to Tang Xiaoqiao, "You don't have to be nervous. This song was specially written for you. You will surely be able to sing it well. Don't have any pressure. Sing it naturally and relax. Anyway, it's just the beginning of practice." Specially written for Tang Xiaoqiao? Several of the company's top executives, who knew the inside story, secretly shook their heads and even curled their lips in disdain. It was really boasting without a draft. In 2 days, Lu Chen could write a good song specially for Tang Xiaoqiao. It was estimated that it was either a work that had been written a long time ago, or it was a last-minute rush. Lu Chen's statement was nothing more than to show that EMI didn't spend money in vain. This kind of small trick was not worth mentioning in their eyes. Tang Xiaoqiao, however, relaxed. After all, she was not a pure newcomer who had just come out. She had performed well in the talent competition before. Once she calmed down, she became more natural and reached for the microphone. Seeing this, Lu Chen replayed the accompaniment. This time, Tang Xiaoqiao did not drop the chain again and sang along with the accompaniment. "It's nice to think about it all night, making me unable to sleep. Why do you always want to escape? If lovesickness can't be cured, I can only blame myself for not being able to find the antidote. You never gave me a sign of love. Oops, I fell earlier than you love less than me, doomed to suffer. No, the elegance is gone, the restless heartbeat, the whole world can hear it." Just the first part made everyone present except Lu Chen moved. They were all insiders. Even if they were not professionals, they all had the basic ability to appreciate a song. In the simplest terms, it was not good to hear and did not have the potential to become popular. The new song Lu Chen wrote for Tang Xiaoqiao is very special. Its style is cold and has a strong personalized color. Different from ordinary love songs or fast songs, it has a heartwarming charm in it. At first glance, it was a refreshing feeling. What was admirable was that the characteristics of Tang Xiaoqiao's voice were revealed through this song. That kind of nasal voice, full of the flavor of a proud little girl, contains the ethereal temperament of an elf who has fallen into the world. If there was a shortcoming, it was that she did not sing smoothly enough. But she had just started practicing. "Don't be so proud, I may leave at any time, you haven't held my hand yet. The night is too long, and the moonlight is bound to get cold, what to do? You owe me a hug," and I smiled at you again and again, "why haven't you seen my good As soon as Tang Xiaoqiao finished singing the chorus, Wan Xinghua slapped his thigh and shouted, "Good!" This chorus was very wonderful. It suddenly raised the level of the song, and the climax was very in place. This song was written for Tang Xiaoqiao, and it was also written for thousands of girls in their teens and 20s. Based on Wan Xinghua's many years of experience, it was difficult for this work to become a big hit, but it was not a problem at all. With proper publicity and promotion, it was enough to create a new star. Song Sun's face showed a smile. He liked this song. Although Tang Xiaoqiao's singing was still very rusty and the accompaniment was very rough, the beautiful melody of the work has been shown. It was nothing more than a matter of later arrangement and practice. Good songs are hard to find, and this song was worth buying. Several managers and supervisors looked at each other, speechless. They originally wanted to come to see a joke, but they became witnesses instead. Witnessing a newcomer about to stand out. Wen Ziyuan and Li Zhigao, on the other hand, felt as if they had returned to heaven from hell. Especially Wen Ziyuan, he was simply comfortable. He knew that his risk was successful, the money was not spent in vain, and his position could still sit firmly. As for Zhang Qiong, Wen Ziyuan looked at the other party and was not surprised to see the latter's astonished and ugly face. It was as if he had drunk 3 bottles of iced mineral water under the scorching sun, cool from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. All the depression that had accumulated in his heart had vanished into thin air. If it weren't for the presence of so many high-level executives, Wen Ziyuan really wanted to laugh and declare his victory. But Zhang Shuhui, who was sitting next to Zhang Qiong, was in an extremely bad mood. She pinched her fingers hard, bit her lips, and stared at Tang Xiaoqiao, who was singing better and better, as if there were countless poisonous snakes biting in her heart. This song should have belonged to her, and she should have stood in that position. As a result, this song was snatched away by Tang Xiaoqiao, who she had taken a fancy to at all. It was so unfair. At this moment, Zhang Shuhui even had a trace of resentment towards Zhang Qiong. If it weren't for her aunt's strong opposition, how could she miss this opportunity? Making me unable to sleep, why do you always want to escape? After singing a song, Tang Xiaoqiao's face was full of confidence, and her eyes were bright and full of joy. After singing the whole song once, Tang Xiaoqiao really understood the brilliance of this song. She liked this song, which was really tailor-made for herself. It was undoubtedly her luck to get this work. Clap. 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 There was a sudden burst of applause in the listening room. Song Sun clapped his hands with a smile on his face. He stood up and asked, "What's the name of this song?" Tang Xiaoqiao looked straight at the other party, summoned up her courage and said, "So Proud, its name is So Proud." Then Tang Xiaoqiao looked at Lu Chen with gratitude. Because it was him who made her so proud. Note, So Proud lyricist, Li Manting/composer, Lu Dajiang. Chapter 147. Tang Xiaoqiao has always been a very proud girl. But her pride has always been hidden in the deepest part of her heart, and it has never been easily revealed. Because her family is very ordinary, if she puts her pride on her face, she doesn't know how much trouble it will cause. Tang Xiaoqiao is also a very smart girl. Since signing with EMI, she has been working very hard to learn and strive for every opportunity. As long as it is the work arranged by the company, even if it is hard and tiring, she will seriously complete it. But even so, it was still too difficult to stand out in the talent agency. Li Zhigao, the agent arranged for her by the company, was honest and had a good character, but he was not good at scheming and could not help her too much. More often, Tang Xiaoqiao can only rely on herself. So, when she inadvertently learned that Zhang Qiong and Zhang Shuhui forced Wen Ziyuan to give up buying songs from Lu Chen, she resolutely pulled Li Zhigao together to apply to the latter. She wants to pay for Lu Chen's work with her own money. Because her keen intuition tells Tang Xiaoqiao that the opportunity she has been waiting for has come. Under Tang Xiaoqiao's insistence, Wen Ziyuan agreed to her request and helped her apply for a sum of money so that she could successfully get Lu Chen's new work. So Proud. What a good name. Although the song may not have much connotation, and the melody is not invincible. Maybe it's just nice to listen to, but after Tang Xiao sang it once, she knew that the song was too suitable for her. And I've smiled at you again and again. Why haven't you seen my goodness yet? On the surface, this lyric describes the relationship between men and women, but isn't it also a portrayal of her life experience? Tang Xiao has waited so hard for so long, and the goddess of luck smiled at her for the first time. Her dream is to let her restless heartbeat be heard all over the world. Tang Xiao held the microphone in her hand hard, as if she was holding the whole world. And at this moment, she can finally show herself in front of everyone, a little bit of pride. The applause in the listening room continued and warm. There's no other way. Song Sun has been applauding. Which manager and supervisor below dared not to follow? Even Zhang Qiong had to pinch her nose and clap a few times. Her exquisitely made-up face was about to contort, and she was practically gnashing her teeth. Song Sun took 2 steps forward, extended his hand to Lu Chen and said, "Teacher Lu Chen, thank you for composing such an outstanding work for our company's artist. It's worth it." His attitude was different from before. Although he was polite at first, it was purely out of courtesy and etiquette, and not out of respect from the heart. Now that Lu Chen had proven his strength, even the vice president of the agency had to treat him seriously. A good song can make a newcomer famous. Lu Chen smiled faintly, shook hands and said, "Manager Song, you're too polite. It's my responsibility to provide good works." Lu Chen's humble attitude made Song Sun secretly admire him. He was even more determined to establish a long-term friendly relationship with him. An outstanding songwriter at the peak of his creative career was a real gold mine. Anyone who had experienced the golden age of domestic pop music in the 1980s and 1990s would understand this. Song Sun said to Tang Xiao next to him, "Your name is Tang Xiao, right? You sang this song very well." The cost of buying the song was fully reimbursed by the company. "I'll give you a single first, and if the result is good, I can consider making an album." Song Sun knew very well the twists and turns in the process of buying songs from Lu Chen this time. Zhang Qiong tried to steal a chicken but ended up losing rice. The vice president was happy to see a joke, and he was not afraid of exposing his family's dirty linen. Since he knocked, he must knock hard enough, otherwise, how could he get a good effect? Tang Xiao was so happy that her heart almost jumped out. She quickly bowed and said, "Thank you, Manager Song, I will work hard." She was still too tender. She didn't expect that the song she bought could be shared with corresponding rights and interests. Song Sun didn't take any risk and easily took back this part of the benefits. He just stuffed a sweet jujube in passing. Of course, from another point of view, without the support of the company, even if she got a good song, it would be very difficult for her to become famous. Now is not 10 or 20 years ago. Packaging and publicity is the key. Therefore, even if Tang Xiao knew that she had suffered a loss, she would not raise any objection. Song Sun nodded, and then said to several subordinates, "Old Chen, you discuss with Xinghua. The arrangement and soundtrack of this song will be put over at Tianjai workshop. It will be done according to high specifications, and the quality must be guaranteed. Old Wang, your department will quickly make a publicity plan for me according to the characteristics of Tang Xiao and the song. And you? You are Tang Xiao's agent, aren't you?" Li Zhigao, who was named, was simply flattered and stammered, "Yes. Yes, Manager Song." As a halfway agent, his sense of existence in EMI is too low. It's not easy for Song Sun to know that he is Tang Xiao's agent. He can't remember his name at all. Song Sun didn't care and said, "Come with Tang Xiao to my office to talk about something." Several department managers and directors looked at Li Zhigao with strange eyes. They couldn't say they were envious, but it was the kind of, "this guy stepped on dog shit luck." They all knew Li Zhigao and knew that the other party was synonymous with failure among the company's agents. As a result, no one expected that a salted fish was about to turn over. Song Sun must have called the two over to renegotiate the contract, which means that the company wants to support Tang Xiao. No matter how bad an agent is, if he meets a rising star, it is entirely possible for him to rise with his chickens and dogs. Such examples are too common in the entertainment industry. Song Sun then told Wen Ziyuan, "Old one, you entertained teacher Lu Chen well. You did a good job this time. Excellent work should be rewarded, and Song Sun is never stingy with his public praise to his subordinates. Even if his words may embarrass some people." "Thank you, Manager Song." Wen Ziyuan felt like Zhu Beiji had eaten ginseng fruit, and all the pores on his body were refreshed. He hurriedly said, "Don't worry. Of course, he wants to hold up Lu Chen, a great god who can get him promoted and raise his salary. He doesn't need Song Sun to explain at all." After giving orders freely, Song Sun finally said to Lu Chen, "Teacher Lu Chen, I'm really sorry. I still have work arrangements, so I can't accompany you here. You are welcome to come to our company to give guidance at any time." As the vice president of EMI, Song Sun certainly has his own reservations. He very much hopes to have long-term cooperation with Lu Chen, but he will not be in a hurry to immediately offer conditions to Lu Chen. This will not only make others look down on him, but also give Lu Chen the opportunity to ask for a sky-high price. As for the specifics of the cooperation, they could discuss it later. Therefore, his words were beautiful, but that was all there was to it. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Manager Song, please go ahead." Song Sun left with a large team of people, and soon there were only 2 or 3 kittens left in the listening room. At this time, Zhang Qiong came over and said to Lu Chen, "Teacher Lu Chen, I want to talk to you about buying songs." Zhang Qiong's heart was filled with regret. But what she regretted was not that she missed Lu Chen's song, but that she gave Wen Ziyuan a chance to turn over, and made her niece resentful. It was a complete mistake. Therefore, Zhang Qiong wanted to make up for her mistakes. She decisively started with Lu Chen. As long as she could invite a good song from Lu Chen, Zhang Shuhui would no longer blame her, and she could also reverse the adverse impact and not become a laughing stock in the company. She even hoped that the song Lu Chen sold to her would be better and stronger than this song, So Proud. Zhang Qiong's brain turned fast, and the look on her face restored her confidence. However, Lu Chen did not show interest or happy expression as she thought. He turned his head and asked Wen Ziyuan doubtfully, "This is?" Previously, Wen Ziyuan didn't introduce Zhang Qiong and Lu Chen to Lu Chen. How could he know who they were? However, Wen Ziyuan's drastic change in face was seen by Lu Chen. Seeing that Zhang Qiong actually ran over and wanted to intercept, Wen Ziyuan was almost fuming with anger. Lu Chen's inquiry made his mood turn around in an instant. The director of the brokerage department replied with a smile, "This is Ms. Zhang Qiong, my agent." Oh, Lu Chen showed that he understood. He said to Zhang Qiong, "Ms. Zhang Qiong, if you want to buy songs, please discuss it with Director Wen first. At present, our studio is in business contact with Director Wen. Please forgive us." Lu Chen was not a fool. How could he not see that Zhang Qiong and Wen Ziyuan didn't get along? As Wen Ziyuan's agent, she ignored her boss and went directly to him. It was very unruly. This woman was obviously very arrogant. Although she spoke politely, she couldn't hide her habit of bossing people around. Lu Chen didn't like her, and he didn't want to deal with her. Therefore, he gave Zhang Qiong a soft nail. By the way, he also gave Wen Ziyuan a big face. Zhang Qiong was suddenly stunned. She didn't expect that Lu Chen didn't give her face and didn't want to discuss with her at all. Wen Ziyuan almost laughed out loud. Seeing Zhang Qiong repeatedly being defeated, he felt comfortable all over. He hurriedly said to Lu Chen, "Teacher Lu Chen, come to my office. I have something else to talk to you about." The director of the brokerage department of EMI was simply grateful to Lu Chen. The latter not only pulled him back from the edge of the cliff, but also gave him a valuable opportunity. As long as he firmly grasps Lu Chen, Wen Ziyuan's position in the company will be as stable as Mount Tai. So what if Zhang Qiong has someone behind her? Chief Song is watching. Good. Lu Chen promised and left the listening room with Wen Ziyuan, talking and laughing, leaving behind Zhang Qiong with a face of shame and disappointment and Zhang Shuhui. Chapter 148. Leaving the DeLong building, Lu Chen and Lu Shi took a taxi back to the studio. Lu Shi asked curiously, "What's the matter with that director one? Why is he so polite to you?" Shi and Lu Chen came to EMI together to sign the contract. After signing it, they waited in the reception room and didn't go to the listening room, so they didn't know what happened later. Just now, when Wen Ziyuan sent the two out, he was simply very polite. It could even be said to have reached the point of flattery. This made Lu Shi feel very strange. The change in attitude of the head of the brokerage department of EMI was too big. Lu Chen chuckled and briefly explained the grievances between Wen Ziyuan and Zhang Qiong. This was what Wen Ziyuan himself told Lu Chen. After listening, Lu Shi suddenly realized, it turns out to be like this. Others say that the workplace is dangerous, it's really. She couldn't help shaking her head. Lu Chen has always been unwilling to sign a contract with other big companies, and even declined the personal invitation of the music director of Flying Stone Records. At that time, she more or less didn't understand. Now that she thought about it, Lu Chen's choice was really right. EMI definitely can't be compared with Flying Stone Records, and the internal intrigue is also so fierce. If she and Lu Chen entered Flying Stone Records, she didn't know what kind of situation they would face. Lu Shi has a strong personality and doesn't like to fight with others. Although Lu Chen's own studio is weak, there is no such problem at all. The premise is that he can make so much money. Drop. Drop. All of a sudden, Lu Shi's cell phone in her small bag rang twice. She took it out and looked at it, and immediately showed a happy smile. The money from EMI has arrived. So fast? Lu Chen was also surprised. He and Lu Shi just went out, and the money caught up with them. Isn't the efficiency too high? The originally signed contract stipulated that the payment should be completed within 3 days. Lu Shi said with a smile, "It seems that they attach great importance to you. If they don't attach importance to it, it's impossible for the finance of EMI to allocate the money to the account so quickly. The higher-ups must have spoken." Lu Chen smiled. "If they want more songs in the future, we'll have to raise the price again." His insistence on the high-priced boutique strategy from the beginning was undoubtedly the right one. Customers like EMI, as long as they taste the sweetness, and then slowly increase the price later, they can bear it like boiling a frog in warm water. If the price was low at the beginning, it would not be good to raise it too high all of a sudden. It would easily ruin his reputation. Lu Shi was speechless. She realized that she couldn't see through her brother anymore. Beep. Beep. His phone rang again. Lu Shi took a closer look and smiled again. She smiled even more happily. Lu Chen was stunned. What? Lu Shi waved her phone and said proudly, "The bonus from Beijing television has arrived, 1.4 million yuan. Lu Chen won the championship of Singing China. Although he gave up 4 million yuan of so-called New Star Training Fund, the total cash reward was still as high as 1.4 million yuan, and it was after tax. However, the money was not immediately received at that time, and the satellite TV also needed to go through the procedures. Now that it has arrived, it's just double happiness." Lu Chen was even happier and said without hesitation, "Then transfer 1 million yuan to Mom first, and let's go buy a car." He shouted to the taxi driver in front of him, "Sir, please take us to Jingguan Auto City." Lu Shi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Is there a need to be in such a hurry? It's no problem to send money to his mother, but it's too much of a rush to buy a car now. Lu Chen said with a smile, "It's all the same to buy it sooner or later. It's just right to buy it now." Since the establishment of the studio, several staff members have been recruited, and the daily work has gradually become busy. It's really inconvenient to have no car to travel, and it also delays time. Time is money. He has long wanted to buy a car, and was waiting for the bonus from Beijing television to arrive. Since Lu Chen has made up his mind, Lu Shi has no objection. After all, the studio relies on him to make money, and now that he has made so much money, buying a car is not a big deal. Lu Shi thought for a moment and said, then I will call Li Feiyu. He used to work in the 4S store, and he must know the business. Lu Chen nodded, okay. When they arrived at Jingguan Auto City, Li Feiyu was already waiting at the gate. The 4S store where he used to work was in Auto City, and he is absolutely familiar with the road. There is no reason for him to be cheated. Seeing Lu Chen and Lu Shi, Peter Pan ran over with a smile and asked eagerly, De Chen, you are finally going to buy a car. I have been looking forward to this day. Have you thought about what car to buy? He is Lu Chen's assistant, and the car must be bought by him. Lu Chen said, we don't need to buy a good car, not a luxury car, just an economical one. As for the price, he thought for a moment and said, about 200,000 yuan. Help me have a look, 200,000 yuan? Li Feiyu scratched his head and said, at this price, then choose a domestic compact SUV, a gasoline-electric hybrid. The state subsidies are very high. Not only is it fuel efficient, but the configuration is equivalent to an imported car of 400,000 yuan. Lu Chen said with a smile, you are the expert. I will listen to you. He got a driver's license when he was 18 years old and drove his family's car. He liked cars, but he didn't know much about them. His career has just started, so there is no need to buy a good car, but it can't be too bad. A high-quality domestic car should be a good choice. Lu Shi said, then you go ahead and choose first. I'll go to the bank and finish the transfer. So they parted ways. Lu Chen followed Li Feiyu to wander around Car City to choose a car, and looked at several shops in a row. Finally, they came to the 4S store of Zhonghua Automobile. A white SUV placed in front of the door immediately attracted Lu Chen's attention. The shape of this car is very good. The appearance is atmospheric and exquisite. The split front face and arc headlights are perfectly integrated, giving people a feeling of power. Li Feiyu recognized it at a glance. Zhonghua X7? This new car has already been on the market. As soon as the two stood in front of the new car, a salesperson from the 4S store immediately came to introduce it to them enthusiastically. This Zhonghua X7 is a new urban SUV that has just been launched by Zhonghua Automobile. It is an environmentally friendly gasoline-electric hybrid. It combines a number of the latest technologies and has quite high technical content. In addition to the efficient and fuel-efficient power system, its configuration is also very good. It has front and rear radars, intelligent cruise, onboard computer, panoramic skylight, leather seats, and so on, and the interior space is spacious enough. The biggest feature of gasoline-electric hybrid is fuel saving. The fuel consumption of 100 kilometers is very low. Of course, there is a gap between the power performance and traditional power, but Lu Chen does not race or go off-road. It is enough to run in the city. The most important thing is that the safety configuration of this car is in place. The frame is strong and material, and it is equipped with 6 airbags. If Lu Shi drives it, he can rest assured. In addition, among domestic cars, Zhonghua is a well-known brand, and its quality has always been reliable. As for the price, it is 190,000 to 290,000 according to the configuration. For this new car, Li Feiyu was full of praise, and Lu Chen was also very satisfied, so he asked the salesperson to arrange a test drive and drove Zhonghua X7 around Car City. When he drove back to the 4S store, Lu Shi also came over. Her sister has no requirements for the car, as long as Lu Chen likes it. She and Li Feiyu bargained the price together. Lu Chen finally decided to buy a comfortable configuration. After subsidies, the price of the naked car was 245,000. In the end, the price of the car was not reduced, but the 4S store added about 20,000 worth of interior and service, and small gifts. The price of the whole car plus insurance and purchase tax and other expenses was 263,000. After paying by card on the spot, they applied for insurance and temporary license plates, and directly took out the new car from the 4S store. In the middle of the time, the three also had a late lunch together. The color of the car was white. Lu Shi was very satisfied except that she was a little worried that it would get dirty easily. The three of them went back together and drove this new car. The driver was Li Feiyu. Lu Chen saw that he liked this car very much, so he generously gave up the right to drive. Li Feiyu drove the new car on the overpass in high spirits and said, "De Chen, now that you have a studio and a car, you can consider buying a house in Beijing. How can a big star live in the office?" Lu Chen gave up his original single apartment to his sister, and he has been living in the studio. He was going to find another small apartment near the park. As for buying a house by himself, Lu Chen said with a wry smile, "I really can't afford a house in Beijing now. Let's talk about it in a few years." His first consideration was to pay off all his family's debts. Buying a house was really a long time in the future. Although Lu Chen is making a lot of money now, according to his own estimation, if there is no accident, it will take at least next year to pay off his family's debts. However, compared with the despair that could not be paid off in a lifetime before, now it is already a great happiness. As for buying a house, the house in Beijing is the highest in the country, and the average price is almost breaking through the sky. He has just earned more than 1 million yuan. Even if he doesn't use all of it to buy a house, he can choose a new house in a good location. It is far from enough for the down payment. It is said that the biggest dream of many third or fourth tier star artists is to save enough money to buy a suite in Beijing's Fifth Ring Road. The income of third or fourth tier artists is not too bad, but the usual expenses are also high. Buying a house is really a luxury. Li Feiyu sighed, "Yes, the house is too expensive. I have to go home sooner or later." Lu Chen said with a smile, "Are you going back with Xiaomei's sister?" Li Feiyu smiled. Since Chen Xiaomei started working in the studio, Li Feiyu's pursuit seemed to have some results. They talked and laughed all the way, and they were about to arrive at the park. At this time, Lu Chen's phone rang. It was Qin Jinhao who called. He asked Lu Chen to go to a tea house in the university town. So Lu Chen asked Li Feiyu to drive to the studio first, and then drove to the place Qin Jinhao said. When they found the place, it was already 2:00 in the afternoon. Chapter 149. Lu Chen had never thought that there would be such a private tea house hidden in the shade of trees in the bustling downtown area near the university town. He couldn't find the location even with the GPS of his new car. In the end, he called Qin Jinhao and finally found the right place with the latter's guidance, so he spent a lot of time on the road. This tea house was located in the depths of a secluded alley. It was a large courtyard house with a long history. Behind the courtyard house was the lakeside park, surrounded by towering trees and lush greenery. The old walls were covered with green vines and dotted with wildflowers. It was a quiet and elegant scene. Such a courtyard house was estimated to be worth hundreds of millions of yuan in the capital, but it was actually used to open a tea house. The building inside the tea house had obviously been renovated and was decorated in an antique style. Entering the tea house, the sound of the stringed instrument could wash away people's worries. Under the guidance of the waiter, Lu Chen came to a private room. There were already 4 guests in the private room, and Qin Jinhao was one of them. The other 3 were old men in their 60s or 70s. They were wearing long gowns and cloth shoes and were sitting opposite each other, drinking tea and chatting. Compared with these elegant old men, Qin Jinhao was undoubtedly a junior, so he was very respectful. Seeing Lu Chen come in, he immediately got up and said, "Xiao Lu is here. Let me introduce you to some seniors." The 3 old men turned their heads and looked at Lu Chen. Lu Chen was stunned. Because he knew one of the old men, the one he often met when he was exercising in the riverside park. "Brother Kenho," Lu Chen first greeted Qin Jinhao, then said with a smile, "Hello, old man, long time no see." The old man was also surprised to see Lu Chen, then snorted and said, "What a coincidence." He seemed to still be holding a grudge against Lu Chen. Qin Jinhao was surprised. "Xiao Lu, do you know Professor Chen? This old man is actually a professor?" Lu Chen nodded, "I know him, but I didn't know the old man's name before." Relieved, Qin Jinhao smiled. "Then, I'll give you an official introduction. This old man, who Lu Chen had met many times in the past, was Chen Pu, a retired Peking University Chinese literature professor. Sitting on the left of Professor Zhang was an old man in a green shirt, Gao Yu. He was a professor at the Beijing Conservatory of Music's composition department and was about to retire. And the old man with a big white beard on the right is actually the famous director Zhang Wendian. Lu Chen was very unfamiliar with the two professors, Chen Pu and Gao Yu. He had never heard of their names before. But the name of director Zhang Wendian is like thunder in the ears. He once directed two big dramas, Romance of the Three Kingdoms and Water Margin, in the 1990s, which created a record of TV ratings at that time. He has also directed many costume blockbusters. He is good at historical and military-themed films and has won many awards. He is a highly respected senior in the industry, but in recent years, he has been quiet, and there have been no new works. Many young people may not know much about Zhang Wendian, but Lu Chen is definitely not one of them. He has watched Romance of the Three Kingdoms and Water Margin more than once at home. So now seeing Zhang Wendian, he really feels like seeing his idol. Of course, whether it is to Zhang Wendian, Chen Pu or Gao Yu, Lu Chen is very respectful and polite. The two seniors still have a good impression of Lu Chen's respectful attitude. Chen Pu said to Zhang Wendian, "This kid is the one I took a picture of that day and showed you, the one who blindly practiced boxing." Zhang Wendian suddenly said, "I remember, this young man practices Wing Chun, but the routine is a bit wrong." He smiled at Lu Chen and said, "Few young people nowadays like Chinese martial arts. They all practice boxing and taekwondo introduced from abroad. If you like to learn martial arts, I can introduce you to a master. Boxing and taekwondo are both Olympic events. They are very competitive, so they have a great influence around the world. In particular, taekwondo is very popular for a time. Many parents in China send their children to learn it to strengthen their body and sharpen their will, leading to the blossoming of taekwondo dojo in various cities. In contrast, traditional Chinese martial arts routines are serious, biased towards ornamental and artistic, and not many people learn it. Sanda, which is derived from martial arts, focuses on competition and actual combat, but the moves are too fierce and fierce. Like freestyle and Muay Thai, it is not popular with ordinary people. The boxing technique that Lu Chen practices comes from Mo Rant's memory. The development of inheritance is different from that of this world, and it is not practiced blindly. But Zhang Wendian is completely kind, so he thanked him. "Thank you, Director Zhang." Chen Jinhao didn't know that Lu Chen also knows martial arts, and he was a little surprised when he heard it. But he didn't forget the business. He interjected to Gao Yu and said, "Uncle Gao, Xiao Lu wants to go to Jingyin to attend a lecture. Please help him." Gao Yu said with a smile, "Since Jinhao has spoken, it's not good for me, as an uncle, not to agree." He took out a business card and a pen, and quickly wrote a few lines of small words and signature in the blank space on the back of the business card. After writing, Gao Yu handed the business card to Lu Chen and said, "Take it and contact Director Lu in the Academic Affairs office. Director Lu's phone number is on it. He will handle it for you." Lu Chen didn't expect things to be solved so easily. He quickly said, "Thank you, Professor Gao." The more he learned about music, the more he felt his own shortcomings. Therefore, Lu Chen has long had the idea of studying in a higher education institution. Of course, he doesn't have the qualifications to apply for the examination. Attending classes has become the best choice, and his actions and time are very free. It's just that it's not so easy to get a pass from key universities like Jingyin and Beiying, so Lu Chen asked Chen Jinhao for help and asked if anyone he knew could get this pass. As a result, Chen Jinhao introduced him to two professors and a director. This favor was really not small. Gao Yu smiled gently. "You don't have to be so polite. You are very talented in composition and write songs well." As a professor of the composition department of Jingyin, Gao Yu has no prejudice against pop music. When Chen Jinhao mentioned this to him before, he asked about Lu Chen's origin and listened to several of Lu Chen's works, and appreciated the latter's talent. Such a young man was not confused by the vanity of the entertainment industry, and still wanted to learn to enrich himself, which was worth encouraging. Otherwise, Gao Yu may not be willing to help so readily. After all, he has to bear the responsibility for handling a pass for Lu Chen. Zhang Wendian was surprised. Does Xiao Lu make music? Gao Yu replied, yes. Have you heard of In the Spring? This song was written by him. In the Spring? Zhang Wendian was even more surprised. Was this song written by Xiao Lu? Although the older director doesn't pay much attention to the entertainment industry, nor does he like current pop music, he has really heard the song, In the Spring, more than once. Because his youngest son likes this song very much and often plays and sings it by himself at home with his guitar in his arms. Zhang Wendian didn't expect that this extremely vicissitudes of work was actually created by the young man in front of him. Gao Yu said with a smile, I didn't expect it either, but this work was indeed written by Xiao Lu. Zhang Wendian sighed. It's true that the waves ahead push the waves behind, and the new generation surpasses the old. Although he was surprised, he didn't question Lu Chen's idea at all, because there was no need for that at all. Chen Pu suddenly said, Old Zhang, aren't you having a headache about the theme song of the movie? Let him give you some advice. Zhang Wendian was caught off guard. Gao Yu agreed, yes, brainstorming. We're all old. We should listen to the voices of young people more. Zhang Wendian couldn't help laughing. It's as if everyone has become an antique. Well, let's listen to it. He said to Lu Chen, Xiao Lu, here's the thing. At first, Lu Chen was a little puzzled, but he soon understood. It turned out that Zhang Wendian was recently preparing to make a big movie, which was about the tragic story of the Opium War in the late Qing dynasty, when the Qing court was corrupt and the foreign powers invaded, and the righteous people rose up to resist, which awakened the national spirit. The screenplay has been written, and it is currently in the stage of preparation for filming. However, Zhang Wendian encountered a problem in the selection of the theme song of the movie. He was not satisfied with the choice of more than a dozen songs, which did not meet his requirements. Most directors add the soundtrack in the later stage after the shooting. Zhang Wendian's habits are different. He attaches great importance to the soundtrack. In the early stage, he must determine the style and tone of the soundtrack, which also includes the theme song. In the opinion of this great director, the theme song of a movie is the best representative of the connotation and idea of the movie. A good theme song can greatly enhance the charm of the movie, which is as important as the script. The problem is that his requirements are very high, and as a result, the theme song has been delayed. Although it is said that finding songs and shooting can be carried out at the same time, Zhang Wendian has always been thinking about it. Today, he had tea with his two old friends, Chen Pu and Gao Yu, and asked them to help give some advice. The two professors, one writing lyrics and the other composing music, have cooperated on works before, and maybe they can solve the problem. Chen Pu and Gao Yu are happy to help, but neither of them is very sure that they can write a work that meets Zhang Wendian's mind. What they talked about just now was the theme song. Qin Jinhao happened to be here at the right time. Because of his relationship with Gao Yu, he occupied a place here. As for Lu Chen, who has just come over, he was even more lucky. Under normal circumstances, it is difficult for him to see Zhang Wendian. How can he sit down and communicate with the latter? Zhang Wendian said that, but it was more to pour out the depression in his heart. He didn't expect Lu Chen to provide any useful advice at all. What he didn't expect was that Lu Chen pondered for a moment after listening and said, Director Zhang, I have a work that may meet your requirements. What? Zhang Wendian wondered if he had heard wrong. Not only him, but Chen Pu and Gao Yu also showed a look of surprise. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Chapter 150. He's too impatient. When Qin Jinhao heard Lu Chen say that there was a work that met Zhang Wendian's requirements, he screamed in his heart. Lu Chen obviously lost his composure in front of this great director and was too eager to show himself. A professor in the composition department of Beijing Conservatory of Music and a professor in the Chinese department of Peking University, two mentor-level figures working together, were not sure that they could come up with a work that could satisfy Zhang Wendian. Lu Chen actually dared to boast here. Qin Jinhao blushed a little. Qin Jinhao called Lu Chen over today mainly for the sake of the permit. He and Gao Yu are distant relatives, so he calls the other party uncle. Their relationship is not very deep. It's not a big problem to help with the permit. Zhang Wentian's presence was completely coincidental. Lu Chen can get familiar with this great director, which is very good for him to gain a foothold in the entertainment industry, and even to enter the film and television industry in the future. But Qin Jinhao never dreamed that Lu Chen would be so eager for quick success and instant benefits. Of course, he thinks that he can understand Lu Chen's mind. In the pan-entertainment industry, the status and position of an artist are closely related to their profession. Generally speaking, movie actors have the highest prestige. If they can become a movie king or movie queen with enough gold, they will be a well-deserved big shot in the circle and be respected by everyone. Although singers may have more popularity than many actors, they are really worse in terms of prestige. Therefore, after many singers became famous, they desperately drilled into the film and television circle and became the so-called triple perch star. Like those new generation of idols, after their debut, they like to shoot TV dramas the most. No matter how melodramatic the plot is, they will also play it with relish. For a supporting role that appears in a few episodes, they can turn the world upside down. It's unknown how much gossip has been created. Therefore, no newcomer can maintain a normal mentality in front of Zhang Wentian. If you can get the favor of this great director, even if you show your face in his blockbuster, it's worth hype. It's just that understanding is one thing. Qin Jinhao still feels disappointed. Gao Yu's favorable impression of Lu Chen also fell from 3 points to 1 point in an instant. Saying that Lu Chen was a newborn calf that was not afraid of tigers was just being polite. Saying that he did not know the immensity of heaven and earth was the correct way to put it. Zhang Wentian was, after all, an experienced man. After the surprise, he quickly looked indifferent, nodded and picked up the teacup. Actually, he did not think much of it. He didn't ask about Lu Chen's work and clearly expressed his attitude. Chen Pu revealed a faint smile and said, "Really? Then why don't you sing it for us old fellows?" He was the only one who was willing to give Lu Chen a chance, even if his tone was full of ridicule. Lu Chen knew very well that his words had aroused the disgust of the seniors. But since he dared to say it, he naturally had the confidence. After some thought, Lu Chen picked up the sterilized chopsticks on the tea table and took out a pair of bamboo chopsticks from the paper sleeve. He pinched the tip of the chopsticks with the thumb and index finger of his right hand, and said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "This junior will show my incompetence." As soon as his voice fell, the chopsticks hit the table at the same time. He used the chopsticks as a hammer and the table as a drum, and the sonorous sound of the prelude was beaten, accompanied by the rhythm of singing and roaring. Pride confronts 10,000 waves, hot blood is like the red sun. Courage is made of iron, bones are like fine steel, mind is thousands of zhang, vision is 10,000 li long, I will work hard to be strong, be a good man. Lu Chen had only sung a few words, and the expressions of the two professors and Zhang Wentian changed. Chen Pu was stunned. Gao Yu was surprised. And Director Zhang suddenly opened his eyes wide. He stared at Lu Chen, as if he had found some treasure. Zhang Wentian is a very stubborn person, stubborn to the extent of paranoia. He has very strict requirements for his career. Whether it is shooting TV series or movies, he has never been sloppy. If he can do 10% of the work, he will never only spend 90% of his strength to complete it. In 1991, Zhang Wentian started shooting Art of the Three Kingdoms, which was not finished until 1994. The crew of hundreds of people traveled across most of China for 3 years, collecting countless scenes and setting innumerable scenes. The costumes, props, and buildings involved in the film were all strictly in accordance with historical facts, leading to a big overrun in the final budget, which made the investors overwrought and almost declared the project unfinished. But at the end of the shooting, it was broadcasted in the primetime program of Central TV, creating a ratings record of 89.35%. Although at that time, the major satellite TV stations had not yet released a shadow, it was still a miracle. Shooting a TV series is like this, not to mention shooting a movie. Zhang Wentian's seriousness and persistence often make the investors want to cry but have no tears. After 2000, several movies he made lost money because of this, and gradually became silent. However, a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. In the film and television circle, Zhang Wentian is still a big shot. This time, after 10 years of dormancy, he is also full of ambition, and wants to be popular in both word of mouth and box office. The stubborn side of this great director was once again exposed. When the script has long been completed, and the crew and actors are all in place, he has not started shooting because the theme song has not been chosen, which really makes people speechless. But Zhang Wentian himself doesn't think so. What he wants is a feeling. When the feeling is in place, the shooting will naturally be as smooth as moving clouds and flowing water. Otherwise, it will seem like a lack of soul and can't shoot what he really wants. The theme song is the soul of this movie. Zhang Wentian personally found 4 or 5 songwriters to write the theme song for the movie. In all fairness, the quality of these works is good, but none of them can satisfy Zhang Wentian. In desperation, he found 2 old friends, hoping to gain something. As a result, what Zhang Wentian didn't expect was that a newcomer in the circle who happened to meet him actually said that his work was suitable, and even dared to sing it on the spot. At the beginning, director Zhang really took the idea of watching a joke, thinking that Lu Chen was here to amuse and relieve boredom. However, he was shocked. Lu Chen's accompaniment with chopsticks was almost child's play. He lowered his voice and didn't sing loudly, but as soon as he opened his voice, the majestic atmosphere and hot-blooded atmosphere contained in the lyrics and melody hit him in the face, instantly shocking his soul. Different from Chen Pu and Gao Yu, the 2 professors were just simply surprised, and didn't say how excited or anything else. Zhang Wentian was really shocked. What he has been searching for is precisely this feeling, which is exactly the charm contained in this song. Bang! The next moment, Zhang Wentian slammed the table and stood up, his eyes wide open. Stop! His slap was very hard. If it weren't for the exquisite workmanship of the tea table in the private room and the weight was extremely heavy, the tea bowls placed on it would have been knocked over. Lu Chen was startled and immediately stopped roaring. That's right, this song needs to be roared out with breath, otherwise it can't be sung at all. No, Zhang Wentian bowed his head thoughtfully and walked back and forth a few steps, as if trying to find something. Chen Pu and Gao Yu looked at each other, not knowing what was wrong with the great director. Lu Chen's work sounded very interesting at the beginning, but it wasn't enough to make him lose his composure like this, right? Gao Yu asked with a smile, "Young man, did you use the tone of general's order in this song?" The professor of Jingyin composition department had a little guilty in his heart. Just now, he thought that Lu Chen was trying to impress the public and wanted to be in the limelight. Only now did he know that the latter was really talented. Lu Chen quickly replied, "Yes, Professor Gao." Gao Yu asked again, "What's the name of the song?" "A Man Should Strengthen Himself." In Lu Chen's dream world, this song can be called a classic movie theme song. Its influence is so great that it overwhelmed all works of the same type. It was created by a character who can be regarded as a master. In his memory, the one who likes this song the most is not Su Bo, nor Mo Ran, but Fang Mingyi. A man should strengthen himself. Gao Yu repeated it and praised, "Good name, good song." Chen Pu also nodded, "The lyrics are better." At first glance, the lyrics of this song sound very rough, full of the atmosphere of Jianghu. However, with the accompaniment of the melody of the tune, it has been greatly sublimated, making people's blood boil and full of chivalry. It's all good. At this time, Zhang Wentian finally came back to his senses. He said loudly, "The only bad thing is the accompaniment. This song should be played with a big drum to have the real flavor." The great director stared at Lu Chen with eager eyes. "You sing it again, sing it completely, and accompany it with a drum. Hitting it with chopsticks is simply an insult to this work." Lu Chen was powerless to complain. This is a quiet and elegant tea house. Where can there be a big drum instrument? But he really underestimated this tea house called Yumming Tea Garden. Qin Jinhao called the waiter and said the request to borrow the drum. The latter did not show the slightest surprise or embarrassment, and quickly took the order and left. After instructing the waiter, Qin Jinhao looked at Lu Chen with a very strange look in his eyes. You hit it deep enough. As the saying goes, if you don't make a sound, you will amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. This is probably the case. Lu Chen noticed Qin Jinhao's gaze and could only smile bitterly. He didn't expect to play so big. Just now, it was entirely because he had heard the movie script described by Zhang Wendian. The song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," appeared in his memory, and he didn't think too much about it. This song is very suitable for the plot, and director Zhang Wendian's masterpiece will not disgrace the classic. Unexpectedly, Zhang Wendian's reaction was so intense. Of course, at this point, Lu Chen is also calm. He doesn't expect to get a role in Zhang Wendian's movie with a song. As long as he establishes a friendly cooperative relationship with this great director, it will already be a great benefit. That's right. Moreover, composing a movie theme song can greatly enhance the pretentiousness. The pretentiousness in the circle represents the status and value. The higher Lu Chen's pretentiousness is, the more valuable his works will be. Such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, he will never miss it. After about 10 minutes, 2 waiters came to the private room with a drum. Along with them was a beautiful woman in a Han costume. Chapter 151. The woman in Han costume was in her 20s. She was wearing an ivory white embroidered button-down jacket, a milky white satin embroidered lily skirt that dragged the floor, 2 bunches of black and smooth hair hung straight to the waist, and her hair was tied up in a unique double bun. This was a very popular retro dress. A well-made women's Han costume was expensive, and it was not easy to wear a real ancient charm. Appearance, figure, and temperament were indispensable. But for this woman, it was not a problem at all. She seemed to be a figure coming out of an ancient painting of a lady. Her skin was as white as snow, her face was as beautiful as jade, her eyebrows were elegant, her eyes were like stars, and her temperament was elegant and cold, which made people have the idea that they could only watch from a distance and not dare to play with her. When she stepped into the elegant room, the whole room seemed to add a touch of brightness. Ha! Seeing the woman in Han costume, Gao Yu asked in surprise, Qin, why are you here? The woman in Han costume bowed politely and said, Hello, Professor Gao, Professor Qin, Director Zhang, and Uncle Qin. She greeted the 4 guests in one breath, and her pretty eyes finally fell on Lu Chen. There was a little curiosity and scrutiny. Chen Pu and Zhang Wendian both nodded with a smile. Qin Jinhao exclaimed, Qin is getting more and more beautiful. If you continue to be beautiful, I'm afraid that no one will be worthy of you in the future. Qin pursed her lips and said with a chuckle, Uncle Qin only knows how to make people happy. It's not that exaggerated. Her voice was pleasant to the ear, like jade beads rolling on a gold plate. It made people feel very comfortable when they heard it and fell into their hearts. But her smile was like a flash in the pan, and immediately returned to its original elegance. Qin Jinhao said to Lu Chen, Xiao Lu, this is Qin. She studies folk music in Jingyin. You can go to Jingyin to attend classes in the future. If you encounter anything, you can ask her for help. Lu Chen got up and said, Hello, I'm Lu Chen, Lu from the mainland, and Chen from the morning. Qin nodded, Hello. Her expression was light, and she had an indescribable temperament. After greeting them, Qin said to Gao Yu, Professor Gao, I heard that you want a big drum here. There is only one drum in our tea garden. I don't know if it meets the requirements. Gao Yu smiled generously and said, Yes, there is a song that needs accompaniment. The taiji drum is also fine. Taiji drum was a type of taiji drum. Taiji drum originated in China and was carried forward after it was introduced to Japan. In modern times, it returned to China. It was mainly divided into taiji drum, heping drum, and xiao drum. Usually, it was called taiji drum, zhong drum, and xiao drum. What the 2 attendants brought over was a daitai drum. This type of drum had holes all around it and a red string wrapped around it. There was also a wooden stick perpendicular to the drum's surface. It was most suitable for men to play. Qin Qing's eyes lit up and she asked, "Then can I listen in here?" Zhang Wentian said with a smile, "We can't wait for you to come. After listening to it, Xiao Qin, you can also give us some advice." Qin Qing replied very seriously, "Okay." She sat down in the corner of the room, where a zither was placed. Zhang Wentian couldn't wait to say to Lu Chen, "Xiao Lu, let's do it again." Lu Chen nodded and picked up the drumsticks. He had never played this kind of taiji drum before, but he had seen others play it and knew that the method was very particular. Fortunately, he only used drums to accompany it, and didn't need much skill. Immediately, he held the drumsticks in both hands and hit the prelude. Even if it wasn't a Chinese drum, the sound of a real leather drum was not comparable to that of the chopsticks just now. The short prelude made people feel their blood boiling. Singing again, Lu Chen did not deliberately lower his voice. Pride faces the waves of 10,000 waves, hot blood is like the red sun. Courage is like iron and bones are like fine steel, mind is thousands of zhang, vision is 10,000 li long, I will work hard to be a good man. Be a good man, be self-reliant every day, a hot-blooded man shines brighter than the sun. In Lu Chen's dream world, this classic theme song is inseparable from a series of martial arts movies. It can be said to be the pinnacle of the work. The lyrics are full of the hot-blooded spirit of a heroic man. It is adapted from an ancient song, General Ling. Both the melody and the lyrics are very imposing, revealing a kind of majesty of a monarch descending to the world, and the surging passion can shock every listener at once. The melody in the song is soul-stirring. To say that it is imposing, this qi is not only the imposing manner of the song, but more importantly, it shows the national courage of the descendants of China and the awe-inspiring righteousness between heaven and earth. When these qi are combined, it gives birth to the most exciting and majestic soundtrack in Chinese movies at that time. Recalling the plot of the movie in his dream, Lu Chen's momentum suddenly rose, and his emotions were completely integrated into it. He sang with more power. Let the sea and the sky gather energy for me to open up the sky and the earth for my ideals. Look at the tall and strong blue waves, then look at the vast blue sky. I am a man, I should be self-reliant. Step forward and stick out your chest. Let everyone be a pillar and a good man. Use my 100 points of heat to shine 1,000 points of light. Be a good man, hot blood and intestines brighter than the sun. The elegant atmosphere in the tea room was instantly destroyed by Lu Chen's drumming and singing, but everyone present didn't feel that he was cooking cranes and burning the zither to spoil the scenery. Instead, they listened very carefully. Especially Zhang Wentian, he was simply beaming with joy. He wanted to slap the table and applaud several times, but he held back. Qin Qing's slender hands pressed the strings of the zither, and her starry eyes flashed with a strange look. She came because of curiosity. When she first saw Lu Chen, the latter gave her the impression that he was handsome and polite. It's just that there have been too many excellent boys in front of Qin Qing. Lu Chen has nothing special, so naturally, there was no special feeling to speak of. He was just an ordinary passerby. Until Lu Chen beat the drum and sang. At the beginning, she could see at a glance that Lu Chen didn't know how to play the daiji drum. He completely used the daiji drum as an ordinary leather drum, and his movements appeared clumsy and jerky. The song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," changed her impression in an instant. The rhythm of Lu Chen's drumming was extremely powerful, and his singing was full of a heroic spirit that didn't match his age and appearance. The sound was sonorous and deafening, and even a girl like her felt her blood surging. He was so focused, as if everything around him didn't exist, and all his mind was immersed in the song. It was this incomparably serious attitude that inadvertently touched Qin Qing's heartstrings. She had a little more favorable impression of him. Warm blood and intestines, brighter than the sun. The drumming stopped abruptly, and the singing stopped abruptly. The lingering sound lingered, but it was not finished. Good. Zhang Wentian was the first to clap his hands and applaud. He looked overjoyed. That's it. Among all the people present, he was the most chivalrous. Otherwise, he would not have chosen such a script as his debut blockbuster. Therefore, he was the easiest to be moved by the song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself." In fact, when Lu Chen began to sing again, the great director had already decided to use this theme song. Based on this, the tone of the soundtrack of the whole film can be determined. He no longer had any mental barriers, and he could let go. Therefore, Zhang Wendian was very grateful to Lu Chen for bringing him a wonderful work. Gao Yu and Chen Pu also applauded. The latter smiled and said, "Old Zhang, you finally got what you wanted. Good song, good music." Gao Yu sighed, "We're really old." This song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," whether it was the tune or the lyrics, is perfect for Zhang Wendian's upcoming movie. There's basically nothing to be picky about. At most, he needs to work harder on the arrangement and accompaniment. Or find someone else to sing again. Lu Chen is still too young. Even if it's his work, it doesn't mean that he can sing the best. Of course, this doesn't affect Gao Yu's appreciation of Lu Chen, which is purely out of professional considerations. Qin Jinhao directly gave Lu Chen a thumbs up. He thought he knew enough about Lu Chen, but now he found that his previous understanding was too superficial. Lu Chen is like an inexhaustible treasure, always bringing people surprises. The style of this song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," is completely different from his previous works. It is vigorous and has the atmosphere of a grandmaster, and its strength can only be described as unfathomable. Qin Qing was surprised. Listening to what they said, it seems that this song is Lu Chen's original work. That's too surprising. Lu Chen, holding the drumsticks in his hand, bowed with a smile and said, "Thank you." In the face of appreciation and honor, Lu Chen has never been complacent and proud, because he knows the source of his glory. And it is precisely this modesty that makes the two professors and Zhang Wendian particularly favorable impression. Zhang Wendian said, "Lu Chen, I want this song. Which company did you sign with?" There are rules in the industry. If he wants to buy songs from Lu Chen, he must first negotiate with Lu Chen's signing company. Because according to the artist contract, the signing company owns full or priority copyright of the works created by Lu Chen. Unless he is a top big shot, it is impossible to be exceptional. Lu Chen's answer was beyond Zhang Wendian's expectation. "Director Zhang, I opened a studio of my own. If you like this song, I can license it to the investors of the film for free." The theme song of a blockbuster with an investment of hundreds of millions of yuan has a great influence. Not to mention free licensing, even if it costs money, Lu Chen is willing to do it. It would be best if Zhang Wendian owes him a favor. If you want to make more money, you must take a long-term view. It is not wise to be greedy for small profits. Zhang Wendian was stunned at first. He didn't expect that Lu Chen actually opened his own studio without relying on other companies. But he reacted quickly and said with a laugh, "I don't want it for free. I still have to pay the fees that should be paid." After a pause, he asked, "The main actors in my movie have all been decided, but there are still a few supporting roles with few scenes. I wonder if you are interested in trying them?" Lu Chen was immediately overjoyed. "Thank you, Director Zhang, I'm very interested." If he misses such an opportunity, he will be struck by lightning. Note: Men should strengthen themselves. Lyrics and music, Huang Zhan, adapted from the ancient song General's Order. Chapter 152. Zhang Wendian, who has been dormant for nearly 10 years, is still a famous director in China and even internationally. Therefore, the comeback of this great director will inevitably attract the attention of all parties. Even if there are several loss-making blockbusters as precedents, with his fame and connections, it will be easy to pull in enough investment. The big stars in the film and television industry in the circle, plus the stakeholders of the investors, are bound to want to compete for roles in this new film. Even if it's 3 or 4 supporting roles, they will fight until their heads are broken. It doesn't matter if the film loses money. Zhang Wendian's works have always had a tradition of going to foreign exhibitions, and have won many awards. Who doesn't want to walk the red carpet at those highly anticipated film festivals? So, even if the pay is reduced, many people are willing to play it cool. As a newcomer who has just made his debut, an independent artist and a singer, Lu Chen is not qualified to participate in such a game. His influence and connections in the circle are still too small. If it weren't for today's chance to move this great director with an absolute classic, a man should strengthen himself. Even if he used his connections to ask for a small role, he might not be able to get it. And now, Zhang Wendian took the initiative to offer Lu Chen a small supporting role, which was simply a pleasant surprise. Lu Chen has experienced 3 lives in the dream world. Among them, Mo Ran is a powerful actor. Unfortunately, his star luck is not good. He has always been a supporting role and has never been a big hit. This life belonging to Mo Ran has made Lu Chen have a different feeling for actors. He once made a vow in his heart to realize Mo Ran's long-cherished wish in his own world and become a real protagonist. But rice has to be eaten one bite at a time, and the road has to be walked step by step. It is easy to pull the egg if you run too fast. Lu Chen doesn't have a pain in the ass. Therefore, he took pop music as the beginning of his career, and waited until he had accumulated enough before developing into film and television. It was precisely because of such a good mentality that Lu Chen didn't think of taking the opportunity to ask Zhang Wendian for a role just now. The script, crew, and actors are all in place. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if he wanted to force it in? It would be too stupid to provoke Zhang Wendian. Lu Chen is already satisfied with being able to set his work as the theme song of a movie. However, things in the world are so wonderful. He has no desire, and Zhang Wendian has to return the favor in turn. Even if it's a small supporting role, Lu Chen was overjoyed and agreed without hesitation. Isn't it silly to play pretentious and reserved at this time? Lu Chen's joy and excitement made Zhang Wendian smile. That's right. The great director nodded and said, "Let's talk about the script and performance contract when we transfer the copyright of the work. Your scenes will be filmed later, so you have enough time to learn some acting skills and perform well." The great director nodded and said, "Let's talk about the script and the performance contract when we transfer the copyright of the work. Your scenes will be filmed later, so you have enough time to learn some acting skills and perform well." When a singer becomes an actor, unless he has a professional background, his acting skills are a big problem. Although Lu Chen has very few scenes, he can't just rely on his face to make up the numbers. "No problem," Lu Chen said cheerfully, "I will work hard to learn." With Mo Ran's life memory, he has the ability to control the protagonist. A small supporting role is naturally easy. However, in front of Zhang Wendian, Lu Chen can't show too much confidence. It's right to be modest. Zhang Wendian nodded and said, "As for the arrangement of this song, and the soundtrack of the movie," Zhang Wendian nodded and said, "As for the arrangement of this song, and the soundtrack of the movie," Lu Chen quickly said, "In terms of arrangement and soundtrack, this junior's ability is not enough." Are you kidding me? The soundtrack of a blockbuster movie is a big project. He is still very self-aware. This aspect is Lu Chen's biggest weakness, so he has to go to Jingyin to learn and accumulate knowledge. Zhang Wendian said with a smile, "What I mean is that I can't give it to you, but as the creator of the theme song, I hope you can provide advice when necessary. I plan to let Professor Gao complete the arrangement and soundtrack." Oh. It's wishful thinking. Lu Chen suddenly blushed. He was thinking too much. He had to be calm down. At this time, Lu Chen caught a glimpse of Qing Qing next to him, who was pursing her lips and snickering. There was a bit of girlish cuteness. Lu Chen could only smile bitterly. The film's arrangement and soundtrack are very important, and Zhang Wendian can't let him do it in any case. After all, his qualifications are too shallow and he has no experience. Zhang Wendian gave Lu Chen a small supporting role, which had the intention of compensation. It was Lu Chen who provided the theme song. Gao Yu said with a smile, "It just so happens that Lu Chen is coming to Jingyin to attend lectures. It's also very convenient for us to communicate together." He was very considerate to resolve Lu Chen's little embarrassment. Lu Chen said gratefully, "Professor Gao, I want to learn a lot from you." Isn't this another opportunity for him? Since Zhang Wendian has handed over this work to Gao Yu, and the latter is a professor of the composition department of Beijing Conservatory of Music. His experience must be very rich. If he can get the other party's careful guidance, learning relevant knowledge will be twice the result with half the effort. Zhang Wendian encouraged, Lu Chen's work has given me confidence. Next year, I will take it to the Capital International Film Festival and compete for the Best Music Award. The Capital International Film Festival, Shanghai International Film Festival and Golden Peony Film Festival are the three major film festivals in China. Among them, the Capital International Film Festival was established in 2000, sponsored by the State Administration of Radio, Film and Television and the Beijing Municipal Government. It is an international, professional, innovative, open, high-end and market-oriented large-scale film-themed event, which enjoys a high reputation in the industry for its authority and professionalism. The Capital International Film Festival aims to integrate domestic and international film resources and build a platform for display, exchange and trading. Since 2010, it has been held annually and set up an award unit, including 10 awards, including Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Music and Best Visual Effects. The Golden Tripod Award of the Capital International Film Festival is still of high value and has a certain influence internationally. Zhang Wendian pointed his sword at the Golden Tripod Award, showing his strong confidence. He said that the Best Music Award was nothing more than an excuse. Best Film and Best Director were what he really wanted to pursue. At his level, it didn't matter whether he could win the award or not. What mattered was the spirit to rise up again. Zhang Wendian said this, which was also a praise for Lu Chen. Chen Pu said disdainfully, next year? Can you finish shooting this film in a year and go to the exhibition? Gao Yu laughed. Zhang Wendian was speechless. He could only pick up his teacup and drink water to cover up his embarrassment. Chen Pu poked his Achilles heel, that is, he was too good at procrastinating and grinding. Other directors can finish shooting a film in half a year, but in order to improve it, he often dragged it to a year, which led to a big increase in the budget and killed several investors. Putting down the teacup, Zhang Wendian said heroically, I'll definitely finish shooting it within a year. The Capital International Film Festival was held in early December. Now it was the end of August. Even if it was shot within a year, if the time for post-production was added, it would be very tight to take it to the film festival. He must also complete it, otherwise it would be difficult to explain to the investors. According to the requirements of the investors, after participating in the Capital International Film Festival, it would be released during New Year's Day. Winning an important award would undoubtedly have a great boost to the box office. Now is not the 1980s and 1990s. Investors are very shrewd and always put the box office first. Chen Pu snorted with a look of disbelief. Gao Yu smoothed things over and changed the topic. He asked Qin, are you going back to the college this afternoon? Qin nodded and asked, Professor Gao, what's the matter? That's just right, Gao Yu pointed to Lu Chen and said, can you accompany Lu Chen to the Academic Affairs Office, look for Director Lu or Director Chen, and give Lu Chen an auditing certificate. Although he had already written a note to Lu Chen, with Qin's help, Lu Chen could get the auditing certificate and the class schedule this afternoon, which could save a lot of trouble. Qin was a little surprised, but she did not object, okay. Her temperament was reserved, but since Professor Gao asked, she must help. It was not a very difficult thing. Lu Chen said with a smile, sorry to trouble junior sister Qin. In fact, he could handle it himself. There was no need to trouble Qin, but it was not good to brush off Gao Yu's good intentions. Qin smiled. She got up and said, then let's go. If we're late, the Academic Affairs Office will get off work. Wait. Chen Pu cried, Qin girl, play a song for us first before you go. I haven't heard you play the piano for a long time. As he spoke, he glared at Gao Yu, blaming him for spoiling the fun. Qin sat down again and said in a big way, then I'll play a song for the elders. Zhang Wendian, Gao Yu, Chen Pu and Chen Jinhao all smiled. Qin Qing's family background was extraordinary. Not only was she beautiful and outstanding, but she was also intelligent. She had been learning the piano since she was a child, and her zither skills were outstanding. There were many guests who could come to Yumming Tea Garden, but there were really few who could listen to her play the piano. But when Qin Qing waved her 10 fingers and played the zither, the smile on everyone's face turned into a wry smile. Because what Qin Qing played was the ancient song, General's Order. Compared with Lu Chen's adaptation, she played the original. In the first part, she used a large section of flicking fingers and left-handed playing techniques to show the scene of the sound of drums and horns. The melody was tense and mysterious. In the second part, the image of a wise and brave general was sketched through the exaggerated singing and sliding technique of her left hand. In the third part, she used the continuous acceleration of the fast 4 points technique to show the situation of the soldiers' rapid advance in formation. In the fourth part, she depicted the scene of the two armies confronting each other, fighting on the battlefield, the sound of horns, and returning to the camp in victory. The 4 parts of the whole song were completed in one go, with an urgent rhythm and full of momentum, showing her exquisite skills. Zhang Wendian and others listened attentively. Lu Chen had a faint feeling that this junior sister seemed to be challenging him in this way. Of course, this may be his illusion. Chapter 153. At the entrance of Yumming Tea Garden. Qin Jinhao patted Lu Chen on the shoulder and said with a sigh, "I really can't see through you more and more." Lu Chen said with a wry smile, "Brother Kenho, in fact, I am me. I haven't become another person." Qin Jinhao shook his head with a smile. He knew that Lu Chen was modest and polite on the outside, but in fact, he was very proud in his heart. Even when Lu Chen was a waiter in Forget Worries Bar, his pride has always been hidden in his bones, and has never been obliterated by life. He has always been working hard and struggling silently. It wasn't until Lu Chen showed amazing talent that the pride that had long penetrated into his bones naturally emerged. But this pride was not superficial arrogance and rudeness, but strong self-confidence. It was also this self-confidence that made Lu Chen dare to show his work in front of Zhang Wendian. What Qin Jinhao couldn't see through was Lu Chen's background. It was too deep. In Qin Jinhao's opinion, this song, "A Man Should Strengthen Himself," was better than, "In the Spring," "Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart," "You Who Sat Next to Me," and other Lu Chen's previous works. He thought about it and reminded seriously, "Xiao Lu, remember to keep the theme song you wrote for director Zhang's new film and the shooting a secret first. Don't take the initiative to publicize it yourself. Director Zhang doesn't like to shout to the whole world before things are settled, and he doesn't like others to use him for hype." A newcomer like Lu Chen, who had just made his debut, had a relationship with Zhang Wendian. As long as he was willing, even if it was a very small thing, he could stir up a basket of gossip news. Lu Chen was not a trivial matter. Fortunately, he was an independent artist. Otherwise, once the signing company found out, it would definitely hype him up. Qin Jinhao knew that the current entertainment industry was inseparable from hype, but he hoped that Lu Chen would not be greedy for the small profits in front of him, and take a long-term view. It was important to have a good relationship with Zhang Wendian. With the support of this great director, it would be much easier for Lu Chen to enter the film industry in the future. Lu Chen smiled and said, "I understand. Brother Kenho, don't worry." He knew that Qin Jinhao was truly looking out for him. Seeing that Lu Chen understood immediately, Qin Jinhao was pleased. "I can't tell you now, but I'll do whatever I want when the film is completed." According to the customs of the film and television industry, when the production of a film was completed or about to be completed, it was the beginning of large-scale publicity. At that time, there would be no problem for Lu Chen to ride on the momentum, and the investors might even be happy to see it happen. He suddenly changed the topic. "What do you think of Qin Qing?" Lu Chen was stunned and didn't know how to answer. "Boss, I don't know her at all." A smile appeared in Qin Jinhao's eyes as he half-jokingly said, "You don't have a girlfriend yet, right? If you don't plan to be a pure idol, then you should find one. Don't miss a good girl." Falling in love in the entertainment industry is a very complicated problem. If you want to take the idol route, then even if you want to fall in love, you must take the underground route. Otherwise, once exposed, it is very likely to lead to a sharp drop in popularity, and even be abandoned by the company. If the strength is better, fans will be more tolerant, especially male singers, whose acceptance will be relatively higher. Lu Chen's appearance is more than enough to be an idol, but he obviously has no intention of buying a face. His identity as the champion of singing China makes it enough for him to mix well in the strength group. Therefore, although Qin Jinhao was joking, what he said was not wrong. Lu Chen smiled bitterly. I don't have any plans to find a girlfriend yet. It's very hard to fall in love seriously. He doesn't have that much time and energy right now. If he doesn't fall in love seriously and holds the idea of playing, well, his sister will beat him to death. Qin Jinhao said with a smile, what I want to say is that Qin Qing is really good. Since you're going to Jingyin to take classes, try to see if you can become friends with her. At your age, don't live like us. Cough. As soon as his voice fell, a soft cough suddenly came from behind the two. Qin Jinhao and Lu Chen couldn't help turning their heads and saw Qin Qing standing a few steps away. She looked indifferent and her eyes were cold. The Jingyin girl had just changed into a simple and elegant dress. She still had long hair, and her temperament was more and more quiet. Even though Qin Jinhao's skin was extremely thick, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed. He laughed and quickly said, Qin Qing is here, then you go. After that, he directly left the soles of his feet and left Lu Chen alone to face this very special girl without any sense of loyalty. Qin Qing was not ashamed or annoyed, but there was a trace of indifference between her eyebrows that kept people 1,000 miles away. She said lightly, let's go. Lu Chen originally wanted to explain a few words, but when he saw the other party's expression, he didn't say much, okay. Driving the car, Lu Chen drove Qin Qing to Beijing Conservatory of Music. Qin Qing was sitting in the passenger seat. On the way, she suddenly said, Uncle Chen was just joking. Don't take it to heart. Lu Chen said with a smile, I know. Don't worry about it. He was not a fool. How could he not understand the meaning of the other party's words? Qin Qing was telling Lu Chen that there was no possibility between her and him, and not to have unnecessary ideas. The problem was that Lu Chen didn't have any ideas about her at all. This girl who played the zither very well was very beautiful. To be precise, Lu Chen had never seen a more beautiful girl than her, and her temperament was better than her appearance. It was not an exaggeration to say that she was a goddess. Qin Qing's family background should be very good. It could be seen from the attitude of the two professors and Zhang Wendian towards her. She was either rich or noble, and not an ordinary person. Such a girl must have countless suitors, reserved and arrogant. But what does this have to do with him? People from two different worlds may have intersected because of various coincidences, but in the end, they are gradually drifting apart. Qin Qing said, N. Lu Chen was a little speechless. Listening to her tone, it seemed that she didn't believe him. So he said bluntly, I don't plan to fall in love in the next few years. Don't worry. Qin Qing tilted her head and said, Are you angry? Or did you say that on purpose to arouse my interest? Lu Chen sighed and gently turned the steering wheel to park the car steadily on the side of the road. Qin Qing looked at him without the slightest change in her expression. Lu Chen looked straight into her eyes and said sincerely, Junior sister Qin Qing, first of all, I'm not angry. I don't want to attract you with these words. We've just met. You don't know me. I can understand. I'm going to Jingyin to attend lectures just to study. I'm very grateful that you accompany me to get the permit. If this makes you misunderstand, then I'm sorry. I'll send you to school first, and I'll handle it myself. After listening, Qin Qing nodded and said, I believe you. Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Thank you. Qin Qing said, since I promised Professor Gao, I must accompany you to the academic affairs office. Let's go. Lu Chen was speechless and went back on the road. He didn't notice the shallow smile on the corner of the girl's lips. After spending more than 10 minutes on the road, without encountering traffic jams, the two arrived at Jingyin smoothly. Jingyin, or Beijing Conservatory of Music, is known as the three major conservatories, along with the Central Conservatory of Music and the Northern Conservatory of Music. It was founded in 1980 and has a history of 35 years so far. Although it is not as old as Zhongyin, it has also produced many talented people in the past few decades. Many famous composers, pianists and singers have emerged, and it has a respectable reputation both at home and around the world. This Conservatory of Music is located on the shore of Beihai, adjacent to the famous Beihai Park, and its geographical location is extremely superior. Jingyin is very small in area, and its scale is not even comparable to several middle schools in Beijing. The total number of teachers and students in the school is only more than 2,000, which is incomparable to schools with tens of thousands of students in University City. Lu Chen has never been to Jingyin before, but he has long been famous for this advanced music academy. It is said that there are tens of thousands of students who come to Beijing to apply for Jingyin every year. Most of them start training from an early age. Their attainments in such aspects as piano, violin, folk instruments, and so on can crush guys like Lu Chen into slag with just a move of their fingers. However, most of these proud children will be ruthlessly eliminated in the process of applying for Jingyin. Many examinees' families can be described as going bankrupt to train them. After arriving in Beijing, they spend a lot of money to ask teachers in the college to guide them, only to be told that they have no hope of getting in at all. Therefore, those who can be admitted to Jingyin are not ordinary people. Genius is a synonym for ordinary people among them. Even if it's an audit, it's not easy to get an audit pass. The environment in Jingyin is very good. The campus is shaded by trees, several buildings are hidden in the woods, and there is a small lake with rippling blue waves in the middle. The breeze is blowing gently, and the water is not rippling. Because school hasn't started yet, few students can be seen in Jingyin. Lu Chen didn't have a pass for Jingyin, but Qin Qin came forward and said a few words to the guard and was let in. Under her guidance, he drove directly to the bottom of the office building. After getting out of the car, Qin Qin took Lu Chen to the Academic Affairs Office on the 3rd floor. There was someone in the office of the Academic Affairs Office. Director Lu, whom Lu Chen was looking for, was not there. Fortunately, there was still Deputy Director Chen on duty. After explaining the purpose of his visit, he readily gave Lu Chen an audit pass. The audit pass is valid for 1 year and will be invalid after expiration. With the pass in hand, Lu Chen can freely enter and exit Jingyin and listen to any professor and mentor's lectures. He can also eat in the cafeteria of Jingyin. Deputy Director Chen sent a schedule to Lu Chen, which made Lu Chen very grateful. After completing the audit pass, the two went downstairs. Lu Chen said to Qin Qin, "Thank you very much this time. I'll go first." Qin Qin nodded, "Goodbye." As the car came out and drove towards the door, Lu Chen subconsciously glanced at the rearview mirror. The girl's figure was already gone. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.